Hey everyone, welcome back after a long, long time away um, from my suspension, which is totally made up. I suspended myself because I had too much going on, but we're back here on the Cool Water Show, not actually suspended, but
Self-imposed.
maybe that tweet drew you in and you're like, let's find out who gets suspended from silent podcasts. What would they
What
have
did she
done? Which
do?
actually, there are things that I'm sure that I could get like a warning or two from because I have some shit to talk about some people that like a lot of people like, but today's not the day. I'm just
No.
back. So we'll put that behind a paywall. Not that that's coming soon or anything, but hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I can't believe we're back. We're back. We have a new look. We have so many things to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. I told Kari, for anyone listening, she has a list, and I said, just surprise me. We'll do it live. We'll figure it out because I don't want to. I don't want to pre-plan anything that I'm going to say for this return. The return from Kari's suspension.
Yeah, I don't even know if I actually on the first topic, I don't want to say it's pre-planned, but I have a fucking rant to go on, and
Love
then
it.
after that, it's just gonna be straight vibes. But
I
yeah,
love to start off with a rant.
this will be a rant for sure.
Great.
So I know that we are a Real Housewives podcast, but I
We're
plan
just
on
shooting
talking
the
about a little
shit
bit of
today, yeah?
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
today's like a catch up. So if you're here for pure Housewives content, sorry, today's not the day.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, the only person that told me that they missed me while I was gone, besides Katie, was this woman right here, Valencia. So, hi, I
Yes.
missed you
Shout out
too.
to Valencia. We love
Just
Valencia.
true. Yes, number one in my heart.
Hmm.
So, Katie, my first topic that I need to talk about today
Hmm.
is Nick Wilson
Yes.
and the fallout from Nick Wilson
Yes.
and just from it saying back from suspension under my thing
Yes.
caught me off guard. When did they make this change?
I
When did
don't
this
know, but I
happen?
love it. I don't know, but I love it.
Okay, so Nick Wilson, I need to go on. This is like a Nick Wilson is inspiring this rant. It is not so much about
Not
Nick
many people
Wilson
can
because I
say that
don't
Nick
think
Wilson inspires anything. So,
right. So first and foremost, if you didn't see this, then like, yeah, I guess you're not on Twitter. But Nick Wilson, who is a state representative for the state of Kentucky, but not at the federal level. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit more. There are people that don't understand civics in this country and how things
there are a
work. And
lot of people that don't understand. I
right.
would say the majority.
So yeah, and trust me, I've learned a lot about it over the last year or so that I've been volunteering with Sister District. So I have a little bit better understanding than I did. So I'm not judging about the lack of knowledge of this, but I'm judging a lot of the dumb shit that's been said as like inspired by Nick Wilson. So um, for an explanation, you have your House of Representatives and you have your senators, right? They're over in DC. But then each
Hmm.
state has their own elected officials as well. And so Nick Wilson is that for Kentucky. So
Yeah.
he represents about 45,000 people in a newly district part of Kentucky because they redid the voting districts.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
putting that out there. And um, before anything else, my stance on all of this is trans rights are human rights.
Yes.
LGBTQ plus people's rights are human rights.
Yes.
All of the progressive things. I am not just left leaning. I am left blowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am, like I do work in this whole volunteer work in this whole sphere. So this comes out that Nick Wilson votes for in favor of um, not having gender affirming care. There
Did
are
we say who
pronouns
Nick Wilson,
involved.
why we know who Nick Wilson is? Did we say
Oh
this already?
yeah. Go ahead. Talk us.
Nick Wilson is the winner of Survivor 38, I think, David versus Goliath, and was
Right.
also on Survivor season 40, Winners at War.
Yeah.
He's also been around the fandom for a
Yes.
while and has always had problematic views. And people
And I'm
know this if you're part of the fandom. We'll just
yeah,
say
and
that.
I'm gonna. I also want to mention that. So,
Yes.
in his post Survivor career, he has become an elected official. He voted in favor of things that are very harmful to the trans community, to non-binary, just a whole bunch of people. And um, like Katie said, we've known about these views for a while, so I'm not gonna like expose any names here, but back in the day when I was heavily connected to a large Survivor podcast, um, this Nick Wilson character might have been involved in that same
Mm-hmm.
activity, right? And so when it was found out that he was going to be on Survivor, and people were like, "Yo, you're actually kind of a shitty person based off your views," Nick
Mm-hmm.
Wilson contacted people in the community and was like, "Can you not like talk about me and ruin my experience of being on Survivor?" And obviously at that time we didn't know that he
Yeah,
won.
poor you.
Yeah. Um, but like he pulled moves like that
Mm-hmm.
years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
um when we saw that he voted in favor of these things and people are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it." First of all, why? Why can't people believe this? That's my first question. Like
I mean, the guy ran as a Republican, so I'm not saying all Republicans, but like it shouldn't be that surprising.
that so swiftly transitions into my second point. So let's talk about like I saw a lot of things that were like, well, he could have voted the other way. My friends, how would he have in his first term as elected
Right.
official as a Republican? Do you really think that he is going to shoot himself in the foot
No.
to vote for something that even I mean, I don't know what he believes. According to some Instagram comments I saw, he thinks it's for people under 18. They should not be making these decisions, and that this is who we should be stopping
Well, you know
these
what I have to say to that?
things
Fuck you, Nick
for.
Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, that's a general overall
Yeah.
thing. But I was just seeing like so much stuff on Twitter that I'm just like, guys, I like, can we think about this critically for a few seconds? Of yes, in a perfect world, Nick Wilson gets up in front of some fucking, or I guess behind some fucking podium and is like, I was on Survivor and I met people who changed my viewpoints. I've had these in depth, beautiful conversations with people like Ricard, and I actually feel differently. That's the end of his political career right then and there.
Yeah.
Like, I just am very confused by all of this. And so I guess my rant is just like, well, the third part of my rant is besides tweeting angrily, like what are people doing about this?
Mm-hmm.
And now this is coming from like the political activist. I do this work on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you all doing besides tweeting angrily? Please tell me. I've seen some people donate money to places, and
Yeah.
I think awesome. I do think that there is a distinct difference between like donating money to places that support like trans lives, LGBTQIA, that type of thing, and then like investing your money politically to help, like get people elected who then wouldn't vote that way. I think if you can afford to do both, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there is like a like shouting at the cloud or clouds, like some of this, that people needed something to be angry about, and you have every right to be angry about it, but where is your action? And so that's what I want to ask anybody
Mm-hmm.
who might listen. What are you doing after all this? You've had a couple weeks to be angry now. What are you doing? What
Yeah.
are you doing to now have action behind your anger? Because if you're just putting tweets out there, like, I know silence is complicit or whatever, but like that's honestly not enough. It's truly not enough. And if you actually feel as strongly as your tweets, then you would be doing something about it. And if you want to do something about it, please feel free to DM me. I will gladly point you in the direction of places, even if you don't want to work with Sister District, who are doing great work to get people at the state level elected, because really the states do matter. Like, yes,
Yeah, they matter a lot.
your senators and everything, like they matter too, but like it really starts at a local level, and states can
Mm-hmm.
really change things. We're seeing it in Michigan, who, because of work like this, they now have a trifecta of blue: their governor, their state reps, their state senators, blue majority. And we are seeing things change very quickly there. And it's just like, you can be a part of this. And so if you are just tweeting angrily and that's all you've done about this situation, like, thanks for not being silent, but also I'd really implore you to put some action behind your words.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very angry about that. And I tried not to get into Twitter fights about it because I would rather just yell it here. And if people want to yell at me for it, then so be it.
Yeah, I think for people it might be, I think it's hard as someone who does donate and takes, well, sometimes to political candidates, sometimes to causes. I think it's difficult to know the right places to donate to, and it does take a lot of
Mm-hmm.
work to do your research. So yeah, I think thank you to anybody that has shared resources for not only Kentucky but across the country, because there are states across the country that are attacking trans rights and
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ plus rights and women's rights and pretty much
Mm-hmm.
everything that's not a straight white male's rights. So there are a lot of things to be angry about. I think, Kari, you're right. It might be intimidating for people to put some action behind their words, but I think it's everybody should try and do their part if they can, because the world's a scary place out there and everything bad is happening. And if you think they're going to stop only at trans people, if you think they're only going to stop at drag queens, if you think they're only going to stop at banning books, like, they're not stopping. You think they're only going to stop with abortions? It's not stopping. Nothing's stopping. They're just inching their way in. They're inching their way in to just take control and make everyone's life miserable. So just a fair warning to everybody out there. We all have to do our part.
During my self imposed suspension, one of the weekends was the national summit for Sister District. And one of the two people that they had, not one of the two, but one of the two elected officials that they had come speak to us, their name is Lorena Austin, who is, we believe, the first like non binary elected official for, or there might be more qualifiers. I don't want to misstate their ethnicity,
Okay.
but there's basically, this person has made history by being a first of their kind to represent people in Arizona, which is like a fucking mess of a
Wow,
state
that's
as it
great.
is.
Yeah, a
Yes.
mess.
And um, if you are interested in reading more about like the people that Sister District backs and the impact they've made, I will after this tweet out an article that was done by Teen Vogue, which I know like you're probably not a teenager listening to this, but
Listen,
nonetheless,
Teen Vogue has good, decent journalism. Like,
yeah.
surprisingly
And
so for Teen Vogue, you know?
they're doing like a political first type of thing, and so
Awesome.
Lorena is the first person that they did this with. And um, again, like I would love to talk to anybody who is feeling like, I know for me it was after the Roe v. Wade leak. I'm like, I can't just sit here and tweet angry shit. Like it doesn't solve anything. I feel like I need to do something. And like I dove in head first, but there's ways to do this in a far easier capacity than I've chosen to. But again, like I would love to talk to anyone. I will supply you with information of just what our organization has done. If you're looking for other ones, that too. But again, like I will leave this topic with the fact that you've had your time to be angry, and you've had your time to be angry about a lot of different things. And like, I love that there is a crossover between reality TV, maybe inciting people's political activism, because like I will boldly and bluntly state this, just saying things on Twitter is not enough. And if you
Mm-hmm.
think you're doing something, if you think you're making a difference by just like tweeting something, I'm sorry you're not. And so I implore you to take that anger in that 240 character or 280 character tweet, unless you've bought Twitter Blue and can tweet longer things, which like that's a whole other issue
Please
that we can
don't
talk
take
about.
that
Yeah.
money and then donate
Yeah.
it somewhere, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, please.
But I am imploring you to find a way to put some action behind the things that you are feeling, because like not only do you feel better about it, at least I do, but I also at least know that like I'm going down swinging for the things that I
Mm-hmm.
believe in. And I think that's incredibly important to a lot of us who like do feel strongly about our views. And
Yeah.
so um if you feel like I was like subtweeting you, I might have been, and that's okay. Like
I'm sure it wasn't
just
only you, whoever's feeling that way, that Kari was subtweeting.
yeah, it wasn't necessarily subtweet. It was just like a really like weird couple days to be on Twitter during all
Yeah.
of that, because I'm like, all right, let's try this again.
Yeah.
let's let's see if we can rally the troops. But so yeah, that's what I wanted to say about Nick Wilson. Fuck Nick Wilson.
Yeah. Fuck
Also,
Nick
use
Wilson.
your Nick Wilson hatred or hatred for his views, because some of you are able to differentiate between like the player and the person or whatever. Yeah, this is not a separation of church and state
No.
podcast, but yeah, I would just really, really encourage you to take some action.
I also do want to say, fuck the Survivor subreddit, because they
Oh
were taking
yeah.
down posts that were talking about this and then not giving anyone real reasons around why they were doing so. I know people who created some bots for that subreddit removed their work from there. So like, truly fuck them, unsubscribe, do whatever you have to do, but like, do not participate in the Survivor subreddit, because they're enablers of Nick Wilson and people like Nick Wilson.
Yeah. I think back to when Zeke was on his first season, and I think before even the season aired, that Zeke is trans without that being like posted anywhere, because people went and dug up stuff and I saw it on Reddit, and it's like, oh, so this is okay. But now, however many years later, it is not okay for us to be openly discussing a public vote by an elected official. Which I do have to go back to the politics of this all real quick. People who are like, well, he ran unopposed. You know why he ran unopposed, right? Because it's fucking Kentucky and they are all Republicans. The last Democrat who ran got about 25% of the votes, and I think that was like 5-ish years ago. And so being like, well, he could have done it because he ran unopposed, blah, blah, blah. Like, again, that's like shooting yourself in the foot politically, and couldn't have done that. But a Democrat hasn't ran, given it was a new district. So like the last 2 times before that in like what was their district, you know, like, I don't know how you want to frame it. Democrat didn't run, or if they did, got about a quarter of the vote. So there's that.
Yeah.
So that's all I'd say. I wish I got to yell about that earlier, but
it's okay. It's still relevant. It doesn't just go away just because people stop tweeting about it.
That's true. That's a whole nother topic. Should I write that down? Okay. Katie, I put this one second on my list because I want to be your sounding board, because I knew that I was going to be yelling a lot with the first one.
Okay.
Talk to me about Scandival. And I also want let's give like a forewarning here. I want like up to the second news. Like, it doesn't have to be what's been aired. Like, if you are someone like who wants to wait and watch the reunion,
I feel like that's
I'm assuming
almost impossible.
Katie's right with this, but you know, there's people, you know, that especially I have a notorious reputation for ruining shows for people by not advocating for the fact that I'm going to be talking freely about it. So if you want to wait to see anything, this
is growth, Kari.
Yeah, listen, I had some weeks away, and I did a lot of reflection. When I couldn't do the Traders podcast, Javier and Katie were like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, just like say a couple spoilers for me. It'll be like I was there." So, I'm giving you the forewarning now. I want Katie to talk to me about what she has seen up until like 5 minutes ago. So, if you don't want to hear that, come back in a little bit. But we're talking straight up, because I know Katie has been itching to be in front of a microphone talking about this. So I could say that I'm probably like 60-ish% versed on this. I am no expert, but I'm ready to engage in conversation and to be the sounding board for you.
Okay, great. Well, where to begin, really? In the year 2009. No, I'm just kidding. So Vanderpump Rules, which we don't typically cover on this show. We usually only cover Housewives, but we're just going balls to the wall today and talking about whatever we want, because it's been quite a while. Tom Sandoval has been dating Ariana Madix for 9 years, I think, officially.
A long time.
And James Kennedy, who is another cast member on Vanderpump Rules, if you're not familiar, was engaged to this girl, Raquel, whose real name is Rachel, but for some reason she goes by the name Raquel on Vanderpump Rules, I guess because she thinks that makes her look like she's more of a famous person or something. So if you hear me referring to her as Rachel, which I will be referring to as Rachel since that is her name on her birth certificate, that's who I'm talking about, because she doesn't deserve the name Raquel. She's a Rachel. She and James Kennedy broke up, and it has come out that she has been having a 9-ish month long potentially affair with Tom Sandoval, who is in a relationship with, well, was in a relationship with Ariana. So the scuttlebutt was that she was really trying to get in a relationship with Tom Schwartz, who is getting, I don't know if they're legally divorced, but is divorced from Katie Maloney. Who
Were they ever legally married? Like, wasn't
there
a whole
was a
thing that they
question
like
because they didn't bring the marriage license or
right,
something like that to their
right.
wedding.
So
So
they
I
had
think they like just got legally married in the last
yeah.
season or something like that. I don't know. I was like in and out
I
on the
think
last
it
season.
wasn't last season. It was the
Maybe
season
two
before
seasons
because
ago.
I haven't watched this current season or the prior
That's right. It
one.
was
And so
two seasons ago because I did watch
yeah.
last season. Yeah. So turns out Sheena is getting married or is now married to this guy, Brock. The rumors and the story, and it's not really a rumor, it's true. It hasn't aired yet on the show, but Rachel and Tom Schwartz made out at the wedding or something like that. And this was the big scandal of the season because she also hooked up with Garcelle's son, Oliver, who we know from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who is in a relationship but separated, maybe married but separated. I'm not really sure. Then she was also trying to get with Tom Schwartz, who were like, oh, whoa, Rachel's going all over the place this season. Little did we know that she actually has been having an affair with Tom Sandoval, who is essentially married to Ariana. They are not married on paper, but they own a home together. They've taken out loans on their home. Like I'm sorry, they have business ventures together. They have a book together. There's just no way that like everything but on paper, they're essentially a married couple. Like their finances are intertwined. Like there's a commitment there. It's not like they've just been casually dating on and off for 9 years. Like they're very committed. So this was shocking because Rachel and Ariana are also very good friends. And Ariana really brought Rachel kind of like under her wing and into their friend group. So we found out so much over the last few weeks. This came out because Tom, who is having a midlife crisis, is in a cover band, and he pays all of the musicians in his band to tour around with him, which is just why it's not like his friends. They're like paid touring musicians that he pays out of his pocket to tour with him and sing these terrible cover songs. They were at a show and his phone fell out of his pocket while he was on stage, and Ariana picked it up and she ended up going through his phone and seeing explicit videos, let's just say, of Rachel. Maybe of Tom too. I don't really know. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but she found that out the night that Sheena and Rachel were on Watch What Happens Live together. So I guess she called or said something to Rachel, maybe sent the video. I think maybe that was a story. Sent the video from her phone to Rachel and said like, you're dead to me. And then also called Sheena, who Ariana and Sheena are besties and have been for a long time. There was a rumor that Sheena physically assaulted Rachel. Rachel got a restraining order against Sheena, but Sheena and all of Sheena's friends are saying that she did not do this and that she didn't punch her in the face. But Rachel got a restraining order against her and was like putting up these videos of her having like marks on her face, but people were saying she's always had these marks on her face. It's all very confusing, but conveniently, they had the reunion this past week, I guess. And the next day, Rachel dropped the restraining order against her. So they had to have two seating arrangements. They had to film separately at the reunion. They were both there in person, but Sheena had to stay 100 yards or something away from Rachel. So I don't know if one left and one came, but they had two seating arrangements. And then the next day, conveniently, Rachel drops the restraining order. And it sounds like Tom is doubling down and basically blaming Ariana for cheating on her and saying like they were just roommates and she's been depressed for so long that there was never a good time to break up. And supposedly there was a physical altercation at the reunion and Andy Cohen had to step in and restrain people. We don't know who got into the physical altercation. They were wearing matching lightning bolts together. Tom brought her home over the holidays to see his family. She's been going to shows of his for all this time. They're re-editing the show and filming new stuff for the show. It's just truly wild, everything that's playing out. And they went out together after the reunion, shared a bottle of wine at a restaurant together, as if they're just now carrying on in public, as if this is an acceptable thing to do.
They're re-editing things. I thought I saw Andy Cohen say like this episode is airing as it was going to be before we found out everything.
Yes, I think the current episodes are, but maybe the ones down later in the season are going to be potentially re-edited, or they have filmed new scenes since the scandal of it all broke. So there's scenes that they filmed. I think the rumor was that they're like changing some of the episodes. Maybe they're not. But But yeah, Jax and Brittany were on Watch What Happens Back from the Grave. Jax Taylor, also known as Jason Couchy, which is his real name, was they were
Katie's
on.
only
He was
using
saying,
government names today.
yeah, because come on, who makes up the name Jax Taylor? Your name is Jason Couchy. Her name is Brittany Couchy. Her name is not Brittany Taylor. Her name is Brittany Couchy.
Couchy's a funny last name.
It is funny. And I feel like people need to know that that's his last name.
Yeah, no, listen.
Like, they
it's
need
a government
to know.
thing.
The Couchies.
We're explaining the government a lot today. The theme of today's podcast is the government and how it works. So if it requires using government names, here we are. Welcome to your reality TV / ninth grade civics class combined into one podcast, fueled by Bravo.
Yeah. This whole thing is a mess. I also heard that next season they might not even cover this and might focus on Katie and Ariana's sandwich shop, which I think, like, great. They should be the focus of the show. But if we don't cover this, how could they do this to us? Question mark, as Leanne would say. Like, we need every inch of this playing out on television.
I hadn't heard that. That'd be a weird move for a TV channel that is known for dragging out storylines until it is like dead, beaten, and then dead again. Like,
and they have the same production company as the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So like that is a show that drags out a storyline.
Yeah. Wow.
I heard it's because Ariana pretty much, and rightfully so, she should not ever have to film with Tom ever again. But I heard it's because she just does not want to be involved with Tom whatsoever. She just wants to like untangle her life from him completely. I also heard that he wasn't leaving the house because they own a house together, and I heard that he was refusing to leave. So yeah, he's just a total scumbag. And I'm rewatching right now Vanderpump Rules. They got me. They freaking got me. I started it over the week. I just started season 2, and it's the in between season 1 and 2, and also this is Ariana's first season 2. But also, I guess in between season 1 and 2, he cheated on Kristen in Vegas or something. And he was doing the same thing to Kristen of being like, we haven't had sex in months. And like, what do you expect? And I'm just like, this dude is a fucking trash can. He's just a trash can of a human being. And it's hard to even watch him on the show because sometimes he does get a sympathetic edit. Like they treat him like he's like, oh, such a nice guy. He's a piece of shit. He's a literal piece of shit.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've interacted with Vanderpump Rules, as I've mentioned on this podcast, but in prior times, like what got me into Real Housewives was Lisa Vanderpump, because I had people in my life who were like, Kari, you need to watch Vanderpump Rules. Like, you will like it. And those people include like actual people in my life, to like my former neighbor, to like David Jacoby on his old reality TV podcast. You know, like,
I was a big Right Reasons fan back in the day.
I just think Jacoby is phenomenal, and so I listened to a lot of what he did. So I got into Vanderpump Rules, like bought the Hulu with no ads account because I wanted to get through it faster. So it got me into Real Housewives, and so I haven't like gone back and watched these seasons, but I never was actually, like, none of the men on the show, really. I just, like, never liked any of them.
Root for anyone on this show, period. And once you go into the show knowing that everyone is bad, then you can have a pleasant watching experience.
Yeah, and it's crazy that right now, of almost any man who's been on this show and the path that has been taken, it seems like Jax is coming out as, like, a winner in all of this, if you are willing to forget that he got fired because of being racist.
Well, he is also definitely a huge scumbag. I mean, remember he went to jail for stealing sunglasses? I mean, he's a monster. I would say the number one guy in this group, as Jax likes to say that he is, James Kennedy, number one guy in this group. And I'll stand by that. Because as much of an asshole he is, he's hilarious. And he makes good TV. And I can't get mad about it. So for me, James is the number one guy in this group.
I have to obviously watch these past like season and a half, but I could not stand that man while I was watching him. That is for sure.
Sadly, I'm a James lover. Problematically so. Like, I know he's problematic. I know he's a monster, but he gives a confessional like no one else. And that's all it takes for me. That's all it takes.
I don't know why my brain just did this, but imagine creating a Survivor tribe of Katie's problematic Bravo interests. Like we've got
Who
Teresa
else?
Giudice, we've got James
Well, that's
Kennedy.
questionable if she's. But it's 50-50 on Teresa.
Katie. I'm not calling her problematic as much as I am like to be the level of defender that you are of Teresa. And now New Jersey is on my list, and like
Oh, I
I'm
have
more
things to
Teresa. Yeah,
say.
we
Okay.
will talk
Okay.
about. It's on the list. Not to. I know you wanted to know as we
Should we
went.
do a Brant Steele of all of the worst Bravo people that I am a supporter of? We might have enough to fill a Brant Steele.
I think it would be really entertaining. So, all right. Well, whenever we get some downtime,
Yeah, put that behind the
we'll
paywall.
commit that. Yep. Actually, that's kind of the ideas they were looking for. So,
Yeah.
all right. I don't really have much else to say. I think you did a great job covering it.
Thank you.
I
Yeah, there's not much
just
of like an
know that.
opinion to have. It's just like if
Right.
you root
Right.
for either one of these people, and I'm not putting it all on Rachel as much of like a unhinged like for your brain to be able to like do something like this to a friend of yours, she actually scares me as a person. Like to
Yeah.
be capable of something like that is scary to me. But Tom is really the one that had the relationship with Ariana, who was supposed to be loyal to her.
Yes.
This girl's just scary. Like there's something wrong there. There's like wires that are getting crossed somewhere in a scary way. Tom is just a piece of shit.
Right. And I also hate when like the man cheats and it's like
Yeah.
we're so quickly blaming the other woman when it's like
Right.
it's really not her responsibility. In this case there is a
The problem
responsibility
is
because you
that
are
they
friends.
were friends. Yeah, like
Yes,
good
yes.
friends.
In this case there is, but when it's like
Yeah.
the random one off. But
Yeah, if it was
that's
a
whole
random,
different thing.
I don't think it would be as much of a scandal.
Yeah. Did you see that Sheena and Raquel did a podcast with Chicks in the Office, which is a
Like right
Barstool
before
podcast.
this, right?
Right before. Yeah. I know that
Yeah.
people are like not in on Barstool. There are,
Yeah, I'm
I
not
will
in on
openly
Barstool.
admit, there are personalities there that I still follow and still support. And I really like, especially, I like both Rhea and Fran from Chicks in the Office, but especially Fran. I just think she's so funny. Anyway, yeah, she did like a podcast like 3 days before, and then the shit broke, but they hadn't like edited the podcast was supposed to come out like soon, a day or two after that, and so that was wild in itself. Where
Yeah.
Rhea and Fran were just like, she just was like lying to our faces about
I mean,
everything.
she is a scary. They were on Watch What Happens Live the night that Ariana found out, and Andy played a game with them called like the BFF test or something like that to have them like answer at the same time. And he said on his radio show that he asked who's the hotter Tom, and expecting Rachel to say Schwartz because the whole story is that she and Schwartz have like a thing. She said Sandoval, and Sheena said Sandoval because she, I guess during the commercial break was like, well, I said Sandoval because I thought you were going to say Schwartz. And Sheena was like surprised that she said Sandoval. And she's like, well, he has abs. And that's why she said it. But like really they were fucking around for 9 months.
Yeah.
And she just said on the show, they also have these matching lightning bolt necklaces, which apparently Tom had the lightning bolt first because it's like the Tom logo. But now she wears a lightning bolt necklace, and her friend or someone that knows her posted all this stuff on Reddit about their relationship, and I guess like proved to the subreddit, the Vanderpump Rules subreddit mods, that like she is who she said she was. So there was a lot of tea being spilled on the Vanderpump Rules subreddit when all of this stuff was coming out, and it was pretty wild.
Yeah,
She
I
was
saw
seen at,
some of
at
that, too.
Sandoval shows alone. Like it was just like very, very wild. She brought a Tom sweatshirt to Andy Cohen as like a gift. He was like, "Why are you giving me this?" It was just so strange. It
Yeah.
was so bizarre. It was so bizarre.
Scandival. Also, props to whoever said or made that one up. I liked
Yeah.
that hashtag. That's a good one. All right. Since we mentioned this already, my next topic on the list is Real Housewives of New Jersey. So I guess
let's do it.
34 minutes into
We're getting to the
Real Housewives podcast. We'll
put that in the show
touch
notes.
on yeah, somewhere. If you're actually here for that, then like this is it. So I know you've been Team Teresa. I don't want to say through and through because I know it took till your rewatch for you to be like, oh, actually, I have a change of heart.
Watching it
And-
all back, I used to be a Manzo fan,
Yeah.
which, ugh, God, I can't even imagine saying that. Dina was actually always my favorite from Jersey, and I still do like Dina. But I used to be like a more of a Manzo supporter. I was never a Melissa supporter. Um, and I think it does a disservice seeing all the seasons when they originally aired because they're all obviously taking place over a different period of time. But when you watch them
Mhm.
all collectively on a rewatch, you're like, oh, Teresa's right, and these are not good people. So, I mean, not
Mhm.
that she's a good person. We don't know. We don't really know, but it's clear that the others are not.
Mhm. I do not need Melissa Gorga or her stupid husband on my television anymore.
Yeah,
This
it's
they're pushing
embarrassing.
this, and I think part of it we know that like Melissa didn't go to the and Melissa and Joe didn't go to Teresa's wedding. So like knowing that before it airs and like having that being a main storyline is also a bit tiring because it's like we know she didn't fucking go. Um and I would think that Melissa has been in this game long enough that if you didn't go you the to the wedding that you would maybe not flaunt it on your Instagram stories the way that she did because that's your whole storyline right now is whether like the fact that you're not a bridesmaid and are you going to go to the wedding and your parents were invited or whatever like your storyline is ruined because we all
Mm-hmm.
know what happens you don't go
Yep.
but that's also her storyline and it's just like
Yeah.
I'm fucking tired. I'm tired.
It's actually embarrassing to be the Gorgas, in my opinion, because it's like you talk about how Teresa is so awful. She's so awful. She's so awful. But she literally is the only thing that you have to talk about on this show. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing keeping you on this show is Teresa. Everything ties back to Teresa. And when the show first started airing this season, Teresa said something on her podcast, I think maybe, about how exactly that, like, I am her storyline, pretty much. She's like, I
Mm-hmm.
have other things going on in my life. I'm getting married. I'm doing this, whatever. And Melissa put this whole embarrassing thing on Instagram. I can find it somewhere, but about like, oh, yeah, well, here's the thing where I fought with my sister in law and my brother. And it was every single thing tied back to Teresa. And everyone's like, you really thought you did something here, but like you're proving exactly what she's saying because your
Mm-hmm.
whole storyline is based on Teresa.
Yeah, and I don't think her husband like helps her storyline at all, since obviously like they're siblings. But I'm just very much over seeing this play out week after week.
Yeah,
It's season after
me too.
season. I just
Me
don't need
too.
it. Um, Another thing that I'm kind of getting tired of with New Jersey is Jennifer. Like I'm just there.
Oh,
I'm just so over like she says things and goes for the jugular and like listen sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do but then a lot of times like she says things first and then wonders why like people come back at her and plays a bit of a victim and I don't know like I'm just not a big fan I guess right now of what she's bringing to the show because this is what she's been doing the whole time she's been on like
mm.
has she really is there any dynamic to her as a character. No. Like there was some the fact that like now her and Melissa are getting along, like, is that your growth?
Hmm. It's a good question. Uh, I don't think Jennifer is an amazing person by any means, but I think she's good for the show. Like, I think she's a good housewife. I think she's funny. I think her kids are great. I think she's a good mom. It seems like she really cares about her kids. And
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Margaret is mostly to blame in a lot of their, well, as it stands now, is mostly to blame. Maybe not in history, but it all
Mhm.
started when Margaret, from what I remember, I haven't done a rewatch in a while, but when Margaret was making fun of her arranged marriage, which is like really culturally insensitive. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's what kind of
Oh,
sparked. Well, I don't know if it was that or the fact that that Jen was like, "Well, you cheated and your mother cheated or whatever." I think it was kind of around the same time, but like I think they're both to blame. And I think Margaret
I'm not
really hits
saying
below the belt.
yeah, I'm not saying Margaret like that I'm team Margaret in this. If anything, like I'm kind of over Margaret too at this point. I
Can't
I
stand
think
Margaret.
that if you were to get rid of Melissa, Margaret, and then I guess you could keep Jennifer, but or you could get rid of all three. I just don't need another season of like Jennifer and Margaret because they're never going to get over their shit.
No,
They're just not. And
no.
that's fine. Like, I don't think you should have to fake make up for a TV show, but at the same time, I don't, because it's a TV show. Okay, like if this is what is going to continue to be the screaming conversation between them every time they're in the same fucking backyard,
Yeah.
give me different people
Yeah.
I can like watch and appreciate whatever dialogue or drama they have going on. Like the new people this season, despite the fact that if you ask me their names, I cannot tell you them. I'm enjoying them. I don't know their names, but I'm enjoying them. I think they're
Danielle and
bringing,
Rachel.
okay. You
And
could have
Jen
said anything,
Fessler
and I
is
would have
the
been
friend
like,
of.
yeah, sure. I like what they're bringing to the show, and I think part of it, and this, I think of you when like I'm thinking of this where like none of them are going at Teresa. And that's different for someone new coming on the show because, like you said, it's like that's people's money line. And so these people coming on and who are having different storylines outside of Teresa. And I also think it's because of how Teresa is approaching everything that like they don't have an issue with her right now because she isn't in the same like headspace of ready to just be combative. Like, so I am applauding Teresa in the fact
Mm-hmm.
that like there's a reason that new people aren't coming on and just coming for her because I think in other past seasons, new people like she might have given them a reason to either be annoyed or and then
Yeah.
it's like Teresa is the star of the show. Stop coming for it. Like that's not happening this season, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. So I do like that we're getting a new different thing there. But the Margaret and Jennifer thing, I'm over it. I think in all honesty, like I think it might be good for Jennifer to take a season off and like work on her marriage that is seemingly not the greatest, like off
Yeah.
cameras. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I'm saying that like I'm rooting for you because overcoming an infidelity cannot be easy. Um, but I don't think that putting it on TV is the way that Bill wants to deal with it. He does
Well, I
not
don't think
seem,
Bill wants to deal with it.
yeah, but I mean, amplify it by being on TV, and I don't
Sure.
think he wants that at all. Like, maybe take a season off. Maybe we'll miss you, and then come back, and it's like, oh yay, she's back. But I just think that we need to like mix it up from Margaret, from Jennifer, from Melissa.
Yeah. I'd be happy if Margaret, Melissa, Jackie gone.
I kind
Teresa,
of even forgot Jackie's like really trying,
Jackie's a
in like not a
loser.
good way
A full on
this
loser.
season.
Yeah, she's a full
Yeah,
on loser. It's like actually embarrassing that she's coming for Danielle so hard because what she's like the new blonde girl on the scene that you have to kind of try and take down. Yeah, I think the cast needs a shakeup. It is feeling a little stale. I cannot imagine a world where Melissa and Joe stay on this show after this season. I just can't picture it, especially if Teresa decides to stay on, which I assume that she will.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I would rather keep Margaret. To me is just not it anymore. She used to be great. I feel like she came on, she shook up the show a little bit, but she, I think, has a really big head, and I think she thinks she's like the new head honcho of New Jersey. And I agree with what Teresa and Jen are saying of like that she has an arsenal on people and she keeps all this information because every season she look what she did to Jennifer. She dug up this entire background of her infidelity from years and years ago, her husband's
Right.
infidelity from years and years ago, and just like spread it out like it was nothing. And I don't think I forget when last season she said, kids are resilient, they'll get over it. And look what we're dealing with now is poor Jen's kids, like dealing with the ramifications of what Margaret did and finding out on a TikTok that her father cheated on her mother when she was pregnant. Like it's
Right.
like that's terrible to me. And I think Margaret's an asshole. I do. I think she sucks. I will say also, does Margaret's like plastic surgeon have a friends and family discount? Because everyone in her life has the same teeth, the same face, the same hair. Her mother, her assistant, that girl that was a friend of last season, whose name I don't remember, but has the voice, Margaret, and now Jen Fessler, friend of, who's her friend, was on Watch What Happens Live the other day, and she has new face. She has a facelift. She admitted that she's on Ozempic. Which Margaret is on Ozempic as well, and she said she's getting new teeth. And I'm like, what's going on here? She was like the most normal looking housewife of all of them. And now you had to like go completely change. I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. Like we can all age gracefully. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, I do not think that this show does anything in terms of building women up
No, Andy
to
Cohen makes
aid.
his money off
Yeah.
of making women look terrible.
Yeah. No, I don't want to say I'm oblivious, but I'm just like not one to look at someone and be like, oh, you've had A, B, C, and D done. It's just like not something I'm good at. And so then when I hear all these things, like in one way, it's like, okay, do what makes you happy, I guess. But also, like, in the same way, you can represent a larger group of women who like can't afford or just don't want to do all of these alterations themselves to make them at least your like their face continue to look like you're 25 to 29, but you're in a 50 something year old body.
Yeah.
I'm not good at spotting those, but it's like I also hate when Andy's like, "Oh, so what have you had done?" Like,
Oh, I
shut
hate
the
that
fuck
too.
up.
I
Have you
hate
heard of
that.
HIPAA?
I hate that. And he did that on Watch What Happens Live with Jen Fessler, which is why I know the laundry, because I can tell when things are different, but I can't pinpoint what those things are. But she
Mhm.
admitted to all of it. And then she's like, but I'm getting new teeth soon. And she has like perfect teeth. And I'm like, why do you need new teeth? That feels like it's
Mhm.
major surgery to me. For what? Just
Yeah.
because someone on Instagram was like, whoa, look at her fucking teeth. I mean, what? Because you saw yourself on TV? I mean, really, everybody needs to take a deep breath and a step back here.
Whenever I think of new teeth, I think of Kyle from the challenge. Just because
Oh,
of
I think
like,
of Nani. I don't even think Nani has new teeth. I just
oh,
think she has a lot of teeth.
hmm, she might have. I think she actually might have had new teeth this past season.
There's
I
just
don't
a lot
know.
of teeth happening with Nani.
Yeah.
And Kyle. Yeah, I mean, Kyle.
Kyle's are just like so white and big.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right.
John
We had a live
Michael.
interruption. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Let's
going
talk.
to.
Hi, John Michael. How are you? I have different
Well, wait, we
recommendations.
should read the question
Yes.
first.
Okay. John Michael says, I really want to get into Housewives. The most iconic memes come from it, which is true. Any
Hmm.
seasons to recommend? So, where do we begin? I feel like my old recommendation for people who were new to Housewives was Salt Lake City because there's only 2 seasons. Well, at the time, there were two
Yeah.
seasons and it was easy to jump into. Now I say, no, don't do it. The season 3 was probably one of the worst seasons of Housewives that has ever taken place. So my new recommendation, Carrie will probably be happy to hear this, is Miami.
Ooh,
I
wow.
think it's
But
a good
season
starting
one
place.
is not good.
Season 1 is a little bit of a snooze. You don't even need to watch it. I
No.
skipped it. I have never seen season 1 in full. But season 2, through the current season, there were 3 seasons on Bravo back like 10 years ago. Then the show got put on pause and they came back Peacock only. And the 2 most recent seasons are 2 of some of the best Housewives seasons that have maybe ever existed. And seasons 2 and 3 are also great seasons. So you
Hmm.
kind of get to see them through the years. It's great. And there's only, if you don't watch season 1, there's 4 seasons to watch, which is not that bad. If you want like icon status, start with Atlanta because
Yeah.
they will make you laugh from the beginning. You'll see Nene, you'll see Kim Zolciak, you'll see She by Sheree, you'll see Don't Check Me Boo. Like that's all season 1 and it's like truly icon status. Beverly Hills early seasons are really good, but then it gets pretty bad. So I would definitely say Miami, start with season 2, and then Atlanta once you get into like once you're into it. Once you're like into Housewives, then dive into Atlanta. What's your recommendation, Carrie?
So, not that I'm defending like watching season one, but for someone, I'm a completist
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be able to skip it. So, if you do decide to watch season one, it is only 7 episodes. It's not that long. But
Yeah.
Miami, like, I was begging Katie for a long
A
time to
long
watch
time.
Miami. I'm like, please watch it. It is so good. Season 2 is just some like top tier shit and it is phenomenal. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that Miami is the first one. Um,
Potomac is also great.
I was gonna say,
Season 1 of
if
Potomac is a little weird too,
mhm.
but it's still good.
Yeah, I think starting with Miami will probably get you hooked, and then, but I feel like it's just so different from everything else that's going on. I think the early New Jersey seasons with Danielle Straub is also like, if you want to see like batshit in
Yeah.
a way that also isn't as memed as like Atlanta, but I mean like the table flip and everything is there's that's a good place to maybe get hooked in as well. But I I love the Miami recommendation.
Yeah, I feel like Miami is like lighthearted enough. There's like good drama.
They
There's
also are like
money. It's
legit
like,
friends and have like long
yes,
lasting
which
relationships.
is my
Perfect thing.
staple for a
Yeah.
good season of Housewives and a good cast of Housewives if they have to be friends. The OC old seasons, they're also great, but that's like history. I mean, those came out in like 2007, but they're good. It's just very different.
Very
And New
different.
Jersey is my favorite, but I think you need to be into Housewives for a little while to like really appreciate what New Jersey is because it's so different. It's like family members fighting with each other, and like you don't. That's very different than everything. Well, I guess we guys have that on Beverly Hills too, but yeah, yeah. I think those are my
Yeah.
recommendations.
I saw
Let us know what
someone.
you think when you start watching. Come
Yeah,
back and
please,
tell us.
please come back. We will gladly have this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
We'll do
over and over
updates with
again.
John Michael. Like,
Yeah,
it's
hell
fine.
yeah. It could be a
Um,
segment,
yeah, truly. We don't really have any segments, so you can be
standing
the
segment.
first. I will say that I saw a post on Reddit that was like Tamra kind of changed the direction of Housewives in the
She
way
did.
that she maneuvered. And so if you want to see that first, it
Tamra
could be
created modern
worthwhile.
day Housewives. I will put that
Yeah.
on Tamra Barney. Tamra, what's her name now? It was Tamra Barney.
I,
What's
I
Eddie's
have no
last
idea.
name? Oh my
Bro, I
God,
have
this is gonna
no
bother
clue.
me.
No clue.
It's gonna bother me. This should be in my brain somewhere. Whatever. But she created the modern day landscape of Housewives. She's the first of her kind, and it changed the landscape of Housewives forever. Before her, it was like families and their kids and like their drama with their
Yeah.
kids, which was also very entertaining, but they barely interacted with each other. If you
Right.
go back and
It
you
was
watch
like
season one of my of OC, it was like their own storylines. They like barely interacted with each
mhm.
other.
Yeah, it was a bunch of like separate gated communities and like one family from each gated community
They were all
minus
in the
that
same
woman who worked for Vicky. But that's what it felt
Lori.
like that they were in
Yeah.
different gated
Yeah,
communities
probably I
because
think it's
there
like a
was
huge yeah.
yeah.
Coto
So
de Casa.
Tamra was Orange County. So if
Season
you
3.
want to see yeah, if you want to see like that evolution, not again, it's not going to be overall as interesting or like a quick hook to get you interested like Miami might be, but Tamra definitely deserves a call out for like how do you get hooked and like seeing what it was before her. Pre Tamra and post Tamra is two different worlds.
Oh, yeah, big time. Big time. The other maybe wild take I have is you could always start with an Ultimate Girls Trip season and see who you like and then go start with their season cuz every Ultimate Girls Trip season so far has been completely wild. I don't know if you're caught up on this one so far yet, Carrie.
I am. It's on my list.
Okay. Okay.
I have feelings about this season of Ultimate Girls Trip.
Okay.
We can do that next,
Me
actually.
too.
We can do
I
that
want to
next.
say
Let's
one
do
more
that
thing
right
about New
now.
Jersey.
Go for
I
it.
want to say one more thing. And you know I'm a Teresa defender, and I've been a Louis supporter so far. Last season I was iffy. This season so far, no, we haven't talked about it, but I'm all for Louis telling Joe Gorga what's up. I want
Oh,
Louis
yes.
to fight Joe Gorga in a ring somewhere. I would like to watch it televised. I think it needs to happen, and I would love to see it. I would pay for it. What I don't love is what I'm seeing in the preview for next week of Louis saying to Joe Gorga, "Do you know I wear your father's pajamas at night?
That's
So
weird.
your four nieces, for them to feel safe." What the fuck are you talking about, my guy? What are you talking about? You're wearing your fiance's dead father, who you never met, his pajamas at night, so her teen daughters and daughters in their 20s can feel safe and loved? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? This is like the wildest thing to me. And it's making me a little worried. It's making me a little worried. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird.
not
I don't know. This
surprising,
is so
though.
weird.
If
This
Louis'
is not
story-
surprising to you?
No, here's why. Because if Louis' story about the whole like beach tribal thing of like that video where
Yeah.
he like went to this like empowering men
Yeah.
beach conference
Who
is
doesn't love
like
an empowered man? Am I right? Won't someone please think of the men?
I know they haven't ever been empowered before,
No.
so I'm glad that Louis really set
I'm
the
glad they're
trend
finding
by
their
attending
rights.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is great. I'm happy for them, but if he's like willing to go to that and have things recorded that can like get out to the universe, it really like I am not actually really surprised because that just is kind of like the same line of weird for me.
I feel like I could have explained away this men's retreat. I could have explained it away on like these are a bunch of damaged men and they were just desperate to like get in touch with their emotions or something like that. But for you to sit there and say to this man, Joe Gorga, who I do not like, I do not like this man. I'm never on his side for any reason whatsoever. But for you to sit there and say, I wear your dead father's pajamas at night. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is like, I'm sorry. What are you saying? I can't even finish it. I almost feel like I don't want them to air the episode because I don't want to know any more than what I know now of just that clip of him saying, I wear your father's pajamas at night so your four nieces feel safe and loved. What? Do they have a special connection to Nono's pajamas? Is there like something with these pajamas? Teresa did, I think, come out and try and explain away like, no, they're new. My dad never wore them, which is even more weird because you can afford your own fucking pajamas, guy. Like you don't need to wear. Also, Nono is like a short little Italian stocky man and Louis seems very tall. So what are you wearing, like capri pant pajama bottoms? Like I don't understand. Can you post a picture? Like I need to know more, but I also don't want to know any more. Like I'm just like I have a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts about these pajamas. And I just wish he never said it. I wish he never said it. Because I feel like he's good for Teresa. Like you said she's showing growth. She's going to therapy. Mm-hmm. She's like working through her emotions. She's acting like more of an adult. But then you have this guy that she's getting married to saying he's wearing her dead dad's pajamas. And that is like not okay to me. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. John Michael, I know. I'm cringing even just saying it out loud. I can't even say it. But that's like, it's all we know. It's all we know. I don't know. You know, when Louis was sitting at that table and said to Joe and me at the same time through the television, you know, when Joe was like, you know, they talk about one thing about his nieces, and he was like, oh no, they talk about a lot, trust me. My adrenaline, my blood pressure, everything like raised, and I was like, yes, I'm so here for Louis. Yeah, I bet they talk about a lot, like fuck you, Joe Gorga. And now I'm kind of like, Louis, maybe stay away from the nieces. Put the pajamas back in the drawer. Like let's just take a few steps back because something's weird here. I want to know what Joe Giudice has to say. What did Joe Giudice have to say about this?
Well, I was not expecting that sentence to be said today.
I want to know. I want to know.
Listen, is he on Twitter? Can you tweet him?
I might DM him on Instagram.
Okay. Do it. That would be phenomenal.
Do you think he'll respond? I've never DM'd. One time I DM'd Meredith Marks when we were in Canada because she was in Canada. And it was Leandro's birthday. Shout out Leandro, the original co-host of this podcast. I stole his job. And she was there. And I was like, it's my friend's birthday, 30th birthday. And like, you're here and he's a huge fan. Where are you going to be tonight? She never answered me. No surprise. But, you know, I thought maybe. Should I do it?
Yeah. The worst that happens is he doesn't respond.
All right. I'll do it. When we're done, I'll do it. And then hopefully I'll have an update for us next time.
Okay, sweet. So our first guest on the Cool Water Show is going to be none other than Joe Giudice. Although
should I invite him on? He won't come on. We'll have to pay him, and like we don't have any money.
Oh,
I mean we have money, but like you know, it's our own personal money.
Yeah, it's not my Joe Giudice
used
money.
For our life expenses. It's not for Joe Giudice. Yeah,
I would rather have Gia than Joe, to be honest. I have to say that I like her daughters still so much. Like,
no, me too. People who come for Gia online are weird.
Yeah, they get a lot of shit, and it's like this girl has had to grow up in front of you, dealing with things that I'm sure you've never had to deal with, like your fucking father getting deported,
both of your parents going to jail on television.
Yeah, like Melania had her line of like, if he doesn't come to the wedding, like that's it, wrap, done, that's it. And I'm just like, let's go, Melania. Finally using that fucking devil attitude for good, because you were a
Yeah.
monster child the first like
Oh
8
yeah.
seasons of this show.
Yeah, totally. No question about it. She was an absolute monster.
Yeah, her is it Adriana just got accepted to University of Michigan, I think. I
Yes, I
saw
think so.
that. So that's exciting. I just good for the girls for seemingly being level-headed. Gia utilizing this to make money. Like Gia's doing a ton of ads, ton of things on her
She's also
Instagram.
just got a job at
A law firm.
a law firm doing
Immigration
immigration law.
law
Yeah.
firm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because she
so
wants to help people like her
mhm,
dad or
mhm.
families like who are in the same situation. Granted, her father did break the law, but I think the punishment
Yeah.
was a little too harsh.
Yeah.
It was a almost victimless crime. What is it, tax fraud or something?
Yeah, I mean Martha Stewart is still here.
It
I'm
wasn't
just
like a
kidding.
Jen
She's
Shaw
American, but
situation.
no.
It's not like he's Jen Shaw. Or Tom
Yeah.
Girardi.
Also true. I had to think about who that was for a second.
Yeah.
It's been so long. All right, so yeah, still shouting out the Judice girls. They've always been my favorite kids of the
Yeah.
whole Real
They've
Housewives
been through it. They
franchise.
have been through it.
Yeah. And they still seem to be like level-headed. And I appreciate that.
Me too.
I'm always drawn to a level-headed housewife or their children. Or maybe just their children,
Yeah, I
because
don't know if I would
Teresa
say
is definitely not
Teresa's.
level-headed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
do
I
not
would.
want to make it seem like I was
Mm-hmm.
implying that Teresa was
Yeah.
level-headed. All right, let's go on to this next topic.
Okay.
Right earlier today, I watched the 3rd episode, so I'm caught up.
Okay. I actually fell asleep during the 3rd episode, so I'm like most of the way caught up.
Oh, there was a lot of yelling in the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So, of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, our
It's like
hug
white noise
took.
to me. Puts me right to sleep.
Okay, first and foremost, what do you? I know we obviously like had the casting for this season a long time ago, right? Like, but now that we
A
are
long time ago. Like a year ago, I feel like.
the 4th one's like already filmed before this one
Yes.
came out.
We know
So,
more about the 4th one than we knew about this one.
yeah. Now that you've seen 2.5 to 3 episodes, depending on when you fell asleep, what do you think of this casting? What do you think of the group of women that we have here, in terms of individuals, some as pairs, and like an overall cast? How are you feeling about it?
I'm surprised to say that I kind of love it. And I didn't think I
Okay.
would, but I'm happy with the cast. I think it's a good group. They're giving me, every episode has given me something so far. And I was kind of going into it like, well, okay. So when it was announced, I hadn't seen Miami yet. So I was kind of like, I don't care about this. I don't like Leah. I feel like I was fresh off the heels of Portia not being on the show. So I was like ready to take a break from her, and then she was coming back. So I was like, meh. But I'm thrilled to see Portia. She is making me laugh. And I'm like, okay, come back to Real Housewives. Like, we need you to come back. Giselle, as much as I was out on Giselle this last season, she gives us what she does her job well, and she stirs the pot well. And her and Portia are really making me laugh. I love Candace. She's one of my all-time faves. And Heather's giving me everything I need in a housewife to hate the shit out of. And we need a villain, and she's the villain forever. To me, always a villain now.
So you think that she's the villain and not, let's say, Leah, or some people may even see like Portia and Giselle as the villains. I see Portia and Giselle as the producers, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
they
same.
are Kyle Richards the shitting out of,
Yes.
or wait, Kyle Richards the shit out of this season.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they are just like creating the screaming, the yelling.
I just think Heather pulled the wool over our eyes so much in season 1 and 2 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And now she's been exposed for who she really is. And she is a horrendous human being. And I feel like Leah, I've never liked Leah. She's always been the villain to me in my headcanon. So like, I'm not surprised that she sucks, because I always expect her to suck.
Heather is being exposed as like such a fan in like not a good way. Like, Heather
Yep.
should be hosting a podcast that she's not getting paid for. You know what I mean? Like, we should
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I
she
like
definitely shouldn't be getting
I am
paid.
where Heather should be currently. You know what I mean?
Heather is like if one of us got on the show and then pretended like we weren't a fan and then tried to do everything to make ourselves be received well by the fans and then our true selves came. Although I think our true selves are a lot better than Heather's true self. I think we would probably be more likable if our true selves came out, but I think
Mhm.
everything that she did her best to hide, she can no longer hide.
Yeah, she got caught up in the whole like Leah, I'm gonna support you in being sober, and then being like, we need to get her drunk thing, like that. And then in episode 3, I don't know if you saw this part, she's like, yeah, I've definitely given my friends who are trying to be sober
Yes, I saw
drinks
that part.
because they've asked me to. And like, I will support whatever my friend needs, even if it's not in their best intentions. And it's like, you're committing this to like the universe right now. Like, this is out loud. This is not in the privacy of your own home with like Jen Shaw. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And that's
what are
some of the
you
worst shit I
doing?
think I've ever heard a housewife say, honestly. And we've heard a lot of really terrible shit from housewives. But for you to sit on a couch and say to all people, Portia and Giselle, let's get Leah drunk this weekend. And Portia or Giselle said, oh no, but she doesn't drink. She goes, that's the challenge. Whoa, I've never in my life heard anything, almost anything worse. I don't want to say never because I think there's probably a lot that I'm forgetting from like Vicky Gunvalson or something that's worse. But like in my recent, or Ramona, in my recent memory, that's maybe some of the most vile shit I've ever heard from a housewife.
Yeah.
And she
And
like
how
doubled down on it. And then we
later doubled
heard that
down
she
on it.
said earlier, I want to do whatever I can to support you in your sobriety. This
Mhm.
is unhinged behavior.
And then she also lied, and how Whitney was like, oh, I bet you she's going to pretend like she didn't even say it. She doesn't remember saying it.
And
And
she did it.
Whitney clocked her right then and
Clocked.
there.
Clocked.
Yes.
Sorry, but I think I like Whitney now.
You don't have to apologize for it. I was saying this to actually somebody in my real life that like I have a friend who at first like it was hard to carry on conversations with this person because they just were like so self-destructive and like wouldn't
Mm,
get out of their own fucking way. And you know the person who like always asks you for advice and you're like,
yeah,
okay,
and
I'll
never
give you my
takes it.
time and energy, and then does the exact fucking opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that person has changed. I have now like pretty good friends with this person, and I'm like, I think it says something that I am willing to be open-minded and change my mind on a person. And
Mm-hmm.
so I believe that in you as well, Katie, for you to be
Thank
like,
you.
Whitney, that you are the worst, and now you're like, actually, Whitney, you're really not that bad.
Thank you.
That's
Well, I
growth in
appreciate
terms of
you
open-mindedness.
recognizing my growth and how open-minded I am as a person. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, listen, Housewives does a lot of crazy things to us. And
Mm-hmm.
I never thought. I feel like there's a clip of me from 2 seasons ago on Salt Lake City saying, shut the fuck up, Whitney, of like me like
Yeah.
freaking out about like just stop talking. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm here for Whitney. I have to say, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm here for her.
And I think a good housewife like causes us to have those ebbs and flows.
I think so too. I think so too. Although
But
Heather's not she's terrible.
yeah, we're really ebbing. We're not flowing. We're
The
just
fact that
ebbing
she
with Heather.
could sit on a couch 2 days after Jen Shaw pled guilty or whatever, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, she's on this show and she's like, I'm ride or die for Jen. I ride hard for Jen. I'm like, wow, even after she admitted to defrauding the elderly
Mm-hmm.
to a federal court, that's really a choice. You're making a choice on camera. You're saying this on camera. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm don't need Heather. And they've already started filming the next season of Salt Lake, haven't they? Or they started like
I don't
yeah,
know.
they have because we've
Oh,
seen
Mary. Yes, because
things.
Mary's back.
Yeah, yeah. So, ugh, more Heather. But I like. I don't know even what I don't even know what I want to say. This cast to me is weird
It is a little
because
weird.
I think our best cast season so far, given there's only 3, but our best cast season so far is season 1
Me too. I agree.
because even with like Teresa and Melissa being there and their like love-hate relationship for each other, it did seem like the people who were there that knew each other like had the best of intentions, and I would rather see that, like seeing Alexia and Marisol being themselves and having fun and kind of being the like, oh thank god it's their part of the trip and not whoever else is, and them like working in tandem to make things more fun, despite Marisol like having who knows what's going on in her stomach induced
Like an
by
ulcer,
maybe like a tequila worm or
non-stop
something.
drinking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not going to throw around any medical diagnosis or labels here, but I like that part of it. Um, in a way, it's nice to see Giselle and Portia kind of like duoing up,
Mm-hmm.
but also it feels like they're using their powers a little bit more for evil than for good. And like for evil
Mm.
with some of the other women, for good for like the people who are watching because they are just,
Yeah, they're on our side.
yeah, they're creating the drama. They're, like lighting the fire, walking away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, it's like, oh, especially when it's like against Candace, because Candace has really
Well, you
just
know I love
catapulted her
Candace.
way up to like Robin Dixon has fallen, who is my
Yeah.
next item on my
Okay.
my list, and Candace has like really moved her way up. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind going back and watching Potomac from the beginning of Candace's time on there to, I guess, like cement my appreciation for her, because she's not the type of housewife I normally am like
No, it's true.
going for, but I think she's especially grown up a lot. And I feel like when you compare her to Ashley, and then like Candace has had this realization of like everything Ashley wants I've done, so who am I to like stoop down to this level type of thing. But anyway, I'm liking Candace. It's just like the
Mm-hmm.
pairs, I wish like like imagine if it was Whitney and Lisa on this trip instead of Whitney and Heather. What a better
Oh, give me
duo to
Lisa
have.
at any time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably when they cast the show, Whitney and Heather were not in the
We're
place that they are in right now,
right.
I would think. Like
Right.
when the casting originally happened.
Yeah.
And then when they filmed their season, it was obviously things went down the tubes. But, as Candace fans, we're eating good. Those of us that have been around for a long time, we're finally, people came for us. Everybody hated
Hmm.
Candace. The people who were on Monique's side are the most like unhinged Housewives fans,
Yeah.
saying that like Candace deserved everything that happened to her. We've been riding hard for Candace for a long time, and I'm glad that she's finally getting the respect that she deserves in the Housewives streets.
What do you think of the Leah Candace duo?
I think it makes sense because they're close in age.
Hmm.
And as much as I don't like Leah, I could understand, like, I feel like if I saw her in person, I wonder if she would be the type of person I would gravitate towards. I really don't know. But I could see how, like, you would want to hang with her. Like, she probably seems like a good hang until she's, like, not a good hang, you know?
Yeah, I think also part of it is we're getting like a different Leah right now since she's
Mm-hmm.
sober. And the last Leah we saw, which she openly acknowledged, like I was the
Yeah.
worst fucking human that I could have been on my last season. Um, like, was it rude that she was like, oh, I'm bored by the story? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also agree that with the way Candace like tried to frame it of, hey, I've been holding this in too, of like, I don't know, I should be here. I don't really feel
Yeah.
comfortable. But the fact that Leah's saying it and like you guys are crucifying her for how she expressed herself versus like how you're approaching me. And like, I appreciate that Candace stood up for her.
Yeah.
I mean, Leah's also had some funny when she called Giselle neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leah hasn't been like the absolute worst for me. Obviously, Heather has. I do like their duo in a way, Candace and Leah. I just
Yeah.
like that Leah isn't like stranded on her own, because I know that she had oh gosh, I'm forgetting. Is it Ebony on her last
Yes.
season that she was kind of like cool with
Yeah.
um in New York? Like, I'm glad that she has someone
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there to like support her, and the same for Candace. I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
good that
Candace needs somebody like Aaliyah there because it feels like
mhm,
without her, Candace would be totally on her own.
mhm. I could see Candace and Whitney getting along.
Me too. I'm actually surprised they're not more connected. Maybe they did a
Yeah.
little bit in the third episode where I didn't see, but I did see that, Whitney came in not having the highest expectations for
Mhm.
Candace and then her opinion changed. So maybe
Yeah.
they'll work through it.
Yeah. Do you have other bold statements to make about Ultimate Girls Trip?
Um No, I love Pepsi. That's really it.
Yeah, he's funny.
He's the best. He's a
Could you
gem.
imagine being someone from season 2 and then seeing season 3 and being like,
That
I
was
had to go to
my
fucking Dorinda's house?
immediate thought when Giselle was the first one at the house and was like, "This is beautiful. I'm never leaving." I was like, imagine being the people who had to stay at Bluestone Manor. Like, fuck that. Fuck that. Vicky must
Hmm.
be fuming. Vicky
Hmm.
and Tamara, of all people, I feel like are fuming.
Hmm. As they shared like a full size bed.
Yeah, and they got yelled at every single day for bringing like a
Hmm.
cupcake inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm interested to see how things go. I get that like the brand of Housewives is drama, but I do think that there is something to how season 1 was a bit more like, hey, we're bringing these women from different cities into one place and just seeing how they interact and get along. And like the fact that I think like what Cynthia and Kenya were the biggest fight,
Yeah.
really. That I mean, Ramona was,
And Kyle and Cynthia kind of like got it. Yeah, and Ramona versus
yeah.
everyone. Hmm.
But I mean, even that in comparison to what we're seeing, it was like tame. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I like seeing a bit of a camaraderie. So I don't
I
know.
like it felt like that was like season one felt like almost this magic of seeing all it's the first time we've ever seen a show like
Yeah.
this. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, we've been wanting this like all stars housewives show forever. Now we're finally getting it. And it was like with all these women who have been around since maybe not like the first season, but very early on. And it
Hmm.
just felt like it was the perfect group of people to kick it off. And it felt natural. Like it didn't feel like it was forced or there was a Giselle there making drama or like stirring the pot. It was just like real
Hmm.
ish. You know, like people made real connections, they made real friends. It just felt like it was a much more natural situation.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. But we will see how it goes. I'm glad we didn't get like 5 episodes at once and only three. That was
Yeah.
nice.
At first I was disappointed, but then I fell asleep during the third. So I was like, okay, I guess I didn't
There
need
was
four at a
so
time.
much like manufactured yelling in the third one, like on
Yeah.
that boat. And I don't
Yeah,
mean
I
like
fell asleep mid
manufactured.
boat ride.
Yeah. It just like I'm sorry, when you're on a boat and there's really no escaping and you're forcing these people to talk about these things, like I get it in one way, but also like you can't even walk away from it. You can't like I
Yeah.
need to go close my door to my room. And
Right.
there was a lot of yelling. A lot. We could have spread that
Yeah.
out over a couple episodes.
Hmm.
Did you
Hmm.
see that like Heather and Whitney really got into about like leaving the Mormon church?
I think that's when I fell asleep
It
because
was
I was like, I just
interesting because
can't
it's
with these
like
two.
it was interesting for the fact that like it's a different type of fight in a
Yeah.
way. Like it really does feel like it comes down to Heather expects Whitney to have her back because they're cousins. Like I would never expect that out of my cousin for you to say that. Like out of my cousin, out of any and it's like
Yeah, but like they
politely.
only found out they were cousins from ancestry.com. Like they didn't even it's not like they
Yeah.
grew up together. They found out like
Right.
2 years ago.
Right. And like I don't know, people who use family relations as a reason for like why you should or should not do something
Yeah, I
is
hate that
manipulative
shit.
as fuck. Yeah, I know
Yep.
we're both in the same boat. Like
Yes.
family over everything. Over everything? But anyway, we do not
Yeah.
need to. But yeah, it was just like a different type of fight because it was not just family based but also religion based because you got
Yeah.
a little bit of insight into I know like we've seen more Mormon stuff come up with Salt Lake City than we have like any other religious thing, but how like if your name is still on the scrolls and Whitney actually does a really good job of tying it into like if your name is still on there, they use that number for data for like government things and
Hmm.
political things and you're still like I was like, "Oh, here bring it back to our
Whitney
podcast
is
theme of
a smart cookie. I
yeah.
think she like maybe doesn't get the best rap, but
Yeah.
she's very smart.
Yeah.
She thinks
Go
about that
ahead.
kind of stuff.
I I see the cat has to
Yeah.
we did get a question, and I didn't actually put Miami on my list, and maybe
Whoa.
it was just a big oversight, I think. So, DM Rocks, thank you for bringing this up. So let's make this our next topic.
Okay. Love to.
What's the last thing that has happened in a Miami reunion? Because I have watched a shit ton of Housewives in the last like week to try and catch up for my 10-week absence. So I remember Andy being like, like the Regina George scene of like raise your hand if you feel like you've been victimized by Regina
Yeah.
George, and everybody raises their hands, and he
Mm-hmm.
did that to Larsa. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, I don't know really what happened in the last one. I think it seemed like they ended with some people saying like, "Yeah, we can move forward on these things." Adriana
Hmm.
wrote a completely unhinged letter about Marisol, like from Marisol's liver, and it seemed like Andy was like very annoyed, saying
I
like
heard about
Marisol
that.
abuses me, and
Hmm.
everyone's like, "What is this letter?" And she was like, "Signed Marisol's liver," and then everybody got like very irritated.
Hmm.
Oh, this part I think I missed. I was multitasking for sure because we never committed to like talking about anything in the podcast. So I wasn't paying super attention.
Hmm.
But Kiki said it was okay that Larsa wore braids in her hair. I missed that part. For sure, I missed that part. Larsa really showed her whole ass at this reunion, though, I will say. And I think Larsa had a pretty decent season overall. But I think at this reunion, for her to tell Nicole that she doesn't have a real job because all she
Right.
does is put people to sleep is the most complete unhinged thing to say to an anesthesiologist. Like, do you know how dangerous it is to be an anesthesiologist?
I think
Dangerous
I
in the sense of
told
like,
you that like
tell
my
me.
college job was I worked for a prominent health center and new
Yeah.
doctors that came on. It was basically my job to fill out their like common app for insurance essentially. So every new doctor that came on, I had to go out in and fill out all this information, including their malpractice cases. And anesthesiologists always had the most
Because you
because
can very easily kill someone.
yes, yes. When Larsa
It's no
said that, it's
joke.
like this isn't like a nanny who just rocks a baby to go to
Right.
sleep. Like there is a whole ton of shit that goes into this. Like that was just dumb. It was a
Also,
straight up
Larsa, do
dumb
you have a real
comment.
job? Do you?
She
I'm not
makes her
saying
money.
you don't make money, but like,
Hmm.
what's your job?
Hmm.
Is OnlyFans technically a job? I guess you're a content creator, but
Yeah.
like, let's not come for a medical professional here and say that they don't have a real job because all they do is put people to sleep.
Yeah.
When
The
you
amount
sell
of
like pictures of your feet for a living. And I'm not shading anybody on OnlyFans. I think it's great. Like, do your thing. I support it 100%. Like, make your money, however. But like, come on. Why are we
right.
throwing stones here?
Yeah. She has no right to throw stones at a
No.
literal doctor.
Literal doctor.
Yeah, it's not like how in a couple of years I will be able to go by Dr. Dahlia. Like it's an actual
Well,
you
you
like
will also be an actual doctor, but just not a
no,
medical
I well not
doctor.
a medical doctor, but if
Yeah.
you have any
But you're still a
questions about
doctor.
how to create an online course, holla at your girl for a low hourly rate. So, anyway, yeah, I didn't see the so I think I saw up to the episode 2. Is it a 3 episode reunion, I'm assuming? Um
Yes.
So I don't think I saw the last episode if it came out this week.
It did come out this week. And I actually forgot about it because of Ultimate Girls Trip. So it's like, oh
Hmm.
shit, we also have part 3 of the Housewives of the Miami reunion. I have to do a rewatch for sure. I was definitely multitasking. I don't even know if I finished the full episode, but there was like a lot of stuff about Lenny, which
Hmm.
like I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. I don't really. We know this guy's an asshole. Like I don't. We don't have to drag it out. I'm sorry for Lisa. She has a new boyfriend. Things are looking up for her. Shouts to her, but like okay, we get it. Lenny's a piece of shit. I also really I enjoyed how Andy basically called Larsa an asshole
I remember that happening, but I don't remember the context.
because she said Nicole she doesn't judge Nicole for having her baby out of wedlock.
Oh, right. What a like 19 like 40s
Yeah,
thing to
Larsa
say.
is a fucking idiot. Truly,
Larsa
no,
also said
no,
that she had sex 4 times a
4 times
night.
a day, a night. And that got like picked up by like sports news people because it was with about Scottie Pippen. And it's just like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no way. No, there's just no way.
Yeah, that is a
And just
lie.
for her to comfort Gertie because Gertie's like, yeah, we have sex 3 times a week or 4 times a week or whatever. But I think we have a good sex life. And she's like, I had sex 4 times a night. It's like, ma'am, that's not the flex that you think it is. That's like, what?
First of all, your vagina, like are you
Right.
not?
Like, are you okay?
Yeah. Oof. Okay.
So DM Rock says Alexia was acting like a bully. I want to get your feelings on Alexia in general this season of Miami and how she's come out. How do you feel about her now since season 5?
So here's what I think. If you were to remove the situation where Adriana said that, like, oh, my foot being mildly sprained is equivalent to the accident that your son, that it was a life altering accident, was in. If you remove that whole situation from this season, like, it magically doesn't happen. Alexia comes off as a fucking bitch, like, straight
Yeah,
up. She, like, especially when she wouldn't apologize for, like,
not
yelling that
scrolling
this
down
dude
all the
wasn't
way.
divorced. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, it's a mistake. You could be, I literally have done that in my work. I'm like, oh, my bad. There's actually X amount of numbers I have to add in because I like it didn't scroll. There's like the two
right.
scrolly things on the side. Like, that shit happens for you to not apologize. And just the way that she went after, like, for example, when Nicole asked the uh defamation question and she's like, that's not what this lawyer's here for, blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. Like, she came across as such a bitch. But then when Adriana does something like that, it makes me think, like, okay, so what other instances have you had
Yeah.
that have caused you to maybe have that short fuse? Because, like, they've known each other for a long time, and if you have not really liked someone for a long time, it takes a lot less for that fuse
Mm-hmm.
to ignite, right? And so I'm not justifying it. I do think that Alexia might need to take a step back from how she's approaching things, and with, like, a little bit less aggression and maybe a little bit more trying to be understanding. However, I did think that she was incredibly justified in her reaction um, to the situation about her son. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that was like, you gave her an open door, and I wish you hadn't,
Yeah.
Adriana, because
Yeah.
it's hard to defend that by any means.
Yes. I also think it's hard to defend what she said about Marisol's ex. Like, there's literally no
Yeah.
reason to say that.
Why would you
But
bring
I
that
do.
up?
Why would you bring that up? Like, why? And I came into the season really liking Marisol specifically. She makes me laugh. I'm done with like the cockies and the drink. Like, this doesn't need to be your whole personality. Like, it's
Yeah.
actually, we need to, let's relax a little bit. But Alexia, listen, Peter's a piece of shit. A piece of shit. Her husband,
Mhm.
ex-husband, piece of shit. Peter's dad. Frankie is a gem, and I love him, and I want him to just flourish in his life. And everything that she shares about Frankie, I
Yes.
appreciate. But the rest, like, she can leave it at the door for me because I think she's actually an asshole.
Mhm.
I think she's just, as a person, she's an asshole. And she like defends Peter, and Peter does such despicable shit. And I know it's her son, but like, you can't defend actions like that over and over and over and over again. Like, he's just a trash person.
Mhm.
I don't know.
The
She's
fact that
not,
they let her ex-husband even be on the show based off
it's
of
wild to me,
the things he went to jail for.
especially the second time.
Yeah, I don't remember exacts. I just remember reading it and being like, "Oh, yeah. Why are we giving this man a platform, even if
Yeah.
it's like an edited platform?"
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yes.
oh,
Alexia told Gertie that she mistreats Russell. I do remember that too. Yeah. She is just a disaster of a person. I find Alexia, like, she's like old school. And I know, like, I said a while ago that she reminds me of Teresa. I think that's like now become like she's a Cuban Teresa. She reminds me of like old school Teresa before Teresa had any growth whatsoever and was just like always spewing shit that was inexcusable. Like, that's how I feel Alexia acts now. Like, it almost like she's reaching her peak, like, asshole stage, and then hopefully we'll see
mhm.
growth from her, but I just don't know that we will.
Yeah, sometimes I
She's
think
very
it might
stubborn.
take, like, seeing it back. And but also, like you're saying, she's stubborn. She might not want to
Yeah.
admit, like, no, I said what I said, type of thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that with something as simple as, like, oh yeah, I will admit to everybody else, but not the person I was incredibly
Yeah.
wrong about, that
Yeah.
he was divorced. My bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in when Alexia's in isolation with Marisol, like, we're getting the best version of Alexia,
Mm-hmm.
I think. on Girls Trip because it's the two of them
Yeah.
being like sharing a room, being close, and like that friendship is fun to watch because you know that they do genuinely care about each other, that
Yes.
they are friends when the cameras are rolling and when the cameras are not rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And um so that's like at this point I think a somewhat unique relationship
Mm-hmm.
for housewives. It might not have been like back in the day, but I mean, we've seen like Kyle, for example, say that she didn't hang out with anyone from Beverly Hills. She texted a little bit with people from like between last season, the season they're filming now. So like if Kyle, like an OG, is not hanging out with
Yeah.
people from her show, and like the fact that they are legit, fingers crossed, like BFF, I like that dynamic, and I think that's when Alexia's at her best. But she definitely just like ignites very quickly and deflects and
Yeah.
doesn't really care what she says to justify to herself that she's correct.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like last season, season 4, I was like excited to see the OGs of Miami. Some of the new girls, I was like, I liked Gertie. I wasn't a huge fan of Nicole last season, but I actually really liked Nicole a lot this season. I just hate her husband. I hate her husband, or fiance, whatever he is. But I do like Nicole. I think she had a really good season. I think she came out way, way more respectable than any of the other women on
Mm-hmm.
the show. Not other women, but like her, Julia, and Gertie, I think are probably, and I love
Mm-hmm.
Kiki, but I think the three of them, like, they were up here, and then the rest of them were just like playing in the mud. And then Lisa was like barely on the show because of everything with Lenny. So it's like, it
Yeah.
just felt very like old school versus new school of the cast, and I just felt like the old school people were just like making fools of themselves most of the time.
They brought Leah back. Is that her name? The her an episode
Bring
that
her
was
back like
interesting.
all the time. I would. Leah is like a monster, but I would watch her on TV. I
Mm-hmm.
think she would shake it up a little bit.
I loved when she was like, "Okay, Lisa, if Lenny came to you and was like, you know what, I want to try it again. I want to take you back. What would you say?" And
Yeah.
Lisa's like, "Well, and then Leah's like, you would say absolutely no." Like,
Yeah.
it just starts
Yeah.
like going in on her like a fucking drill sergeant
Uh-huh.
at boot camp.
Yeah. 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 I think
I,
Leah would be
I
good
did
for the
appreciate
show
that.
if she
Yeah.
came back. We'll see.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, Miami gave us everything I would want Miami to give us. It just feels like the relationships there are very authentic.
Yes. I had no idea when the finale came that it was the finale, and I was genuinely upset. I was like,
Hmm.
no, it's over. I was so bummed,
Hmm.
like truly bummed.
Yeah. I mean, they did give us 5 episodes week one. So that
That's
kind of like
right. That
condensed the
probably is why
season.
it felt shorter. That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've been bumping this item down the
Okay.
list. I labeled it Robin Dixon. If we want to make it full Potomac, we can. But really, as we know, Robin was one of my favorites. And
Mine
I've
too.
lost a lot of respect over these last couple of months of what we've seen. Um, I mean, listen, I'm going to say first, like, I don't care if her and Juan Dixon have a relationship where it's like he can do what he wants as long as he is coming home at night, taking care of the kids, respecting Robin. You know, like
Hmm.
whatever the dynamics are internally of your relationship, it's in a way not my business, but you're also on a reality TV show. Like whatever, that's fine. However, don't like fucking lie. Make a scene of like, what do you mean? Blah blah blah. And then at the end of the season, be like, oh yeah, I did know that he was doing this right before the season filmed. Um, but I'm not going to talk about it here on this free podcast. I'm going to put it behind a paywall, even though I am paid to show you my real life on this TV show, quite handsomely, by the way.
And I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure she gets a lot more from the Real Housewives than she does from her Patreon.
Yeah, based off of the turnout to their live show, I would assume
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This was not it for me from Robin. And I've been writing for Robin for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
And Juan, mostly because he's attractive. But like, given what we learned about the lawsuit happening at his school, he just got fired. He not
Mhm.
only had this situation during COVID or whatever it is that Robin said that it was, where this girl came from Canada and then lost her wallet, which is a ton of fucking bullshit. He also was just recently pictured at a laundromat with the woman that looks like Karen. That Karen said, the girl is blonde and she looks like me. He was pictured doing laundry at a laundromat with the girl and she just looked just like Karen.
I didn't see that. That's
Okay, let me
wild.
find the picture. Let me find the picture.
So while you're finding that, my question for you, because I think that like while what Robin did in terms of hiding all this or whatever is one thing, but like what do you think of Giselle in her role in all of this? Because I see it two ways. One, it's like fucking shady that episode one, two, whatever, that she's like, hey, Candace, your husband did blah, 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 blah. And like really deflecting husband blame outside of her best friend. Um, the other side of it is, I don't know, like if we're going to use the term ride or die anywhere, Giselle is fucking ride or die for Robin. Like to not let that become a thing this season and really like push narratives away from it, that's I might look for those qualities in a friend, to be honest. However, the
Yeah.
reality TV, the way that it affected other people, both inside and outside reality TV of it all, is hard to defend. What do you think of Giselle in her role?
I think Giselle is a fucking asshole. And I think it's fucked up. And Giselle has been one of my favorites also for a long time. And I know people have
Mm-hmm.
been tired of her shit. And I've always said, well, she makes me laugh. So I really don't care that she doesn't share that much of her life. But to see what she did to Chris and Candace without
Mm-hmm.
a blink of an eye, and it's not only her, it's Ashley as well, who I almost feel like Ashley was worse because if she brought that girl on the show and that girl like
Yeah.
blatantly was lying about Chris and Eddie. But Giselle sat at the table with that girl and was also part of it. Like, meanwhile, all this stuff is going on with Juan. Like, I get that you have loyalty to Robin, but like, it's fundamentally like not okay for you to make these things up. Granted, like, and I think at the reunion, it was the way she was speaking about it, I can understand, okay, you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to be alone in the room with Chris. That's fine. But and I'm not going to argue with that. But for her to say like what you did to me, you still didn't apologize for what you did to me. He didn't do anything to you. And you've also said like no, he didn't do anything to me, but you're also phrasing it in a way like he did do something to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's damaging to him as a person. And like Candace was also supposed to be Giselle's friend. And Candace
Yes.
never, that we know of, never did anything to slight Giselle to deserve any of that. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, if you feel that okay to do something like that to someone that should be your friend, I guess, or your coworker that you have respect for, even without even a blink of an eye, as Candace said, like Michael Darby's right there. Like, do
Mm-hmm.
it to Michael Darby. Like, why are you doing it to someone who has always treated you with respect,
Yeah.
who always makes you food, and they always had a good relationship? Like, she and Chris were cool.
Yeah.
And then, like, Juan is actually fucking around on your best friend, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just willing to sweep that under the rug. For what reason? Just because,
Because
like,
Robin's willing to
Robin's your
sweep it under the
bestie?
rug.
Yeah, but like that shit's fucked up to me. Like that's fucked up. And I agree with you. Like I always felt the same way about Michael Darby and Ashley. If you guys have an open relationship or you have a relationship where you're like you guys do whatever, that's fine. I think obviously Michael Darby was an ass grabber and assaulted people and was a piece of shit in general as a human being, but it had nothing to do with the fact if their like relationship was open or not. There's other things. Where here, same thing with Juan. I think there's like other things that make Juan not a good guy, but like if they have this relationship, like whatever, that's on them. I don't know. It's wild, but I did find the picture. I will share my screen. I will show for anybody that is watching the
Okay,
video
cool.
here. Let me just see if I can figure out how to do it. There she is. She looks like Karen.
Okay, wait a second. I am bewildered. So
She looks like Karen.
I don't know if she necessarily looks like Karen. I was
She
not
looks like
expecting
Karen
her to
from
look
season
like
one.
that.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't know who
throwback.
this girl
Okay.
actually is, but like these pictures came out after the whole situation came out that Robin spilled on her Patreon. This
Who
looks
is
like,
she?
I don't know. I'm sure Brianna
And then
something.
I'm sorry, but Juan, are you dumb? Because like,
Yeah.
why are you even allowing this to happen? If
She's the
it
director of basketball operations and she addressed rumors directly saying that they were just doing laundry together. But like, okay. I mean, come on.
she's the director of basketball operations? Oh, I mean,
That's what it says.
okay. Well,
Well, he doesn't work there anymore.
I'm I'm not saying this in defense of Juan Dixon. I'm just presenting something that could very easily be misconstrued because even if they were talking inappropriately and whatever happened, like
Just don't post a
if
picture.
well, one, why are you being that dumb about it? But
Mm-hmm.
two, they could have had to do laundry together because are they a big enough school to have like laundry services for their basketball team? I don't know. Maybe that's one of her responsibilities, you know? Like it's not
But is the coach of the team doing laundry? I can't imagine.
I mean women's teams in some
Maybe.
places, but maybe not men's. So anyway, I don't know. I'm not defending it. It's just like a oh, I could see why either one that's a very good cover up or two
Yeah.
how they've gotten into this situation, but why are you taking a picture and allowing your like if
Yeah.
you are if something is going on, especially knowing not just your role as a public figure as a basketball coach, but your wife's role that like the people who are fans of your wife love this shit. They wake
Right.
up and are like, who is going to get
Well, he
flamed
doesn't
on
care about
Twitter
her.
today?
He does
You
not
know?
respect Robin whatsoever at all. He like is so nasty to her on camera. He is not. It's yeah. He has no respect for her.
Also, the fit he threw when she was like, you know what was being said? And he's like, ah, blah, 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 blah. I hate these women. I will
Yeah.
cuss out anyone, blah, blah, blah. Like, great performance. Well
Right.
done.
Right.
Oscar worthy.
Totally. Plus all the stuff that's going on with like the lawsuit at the
Mm-hmm.
school. And I don't know if you saw the tweet from the girl who played for Juan as her coach once before, once he got that came out after he got fired, but she had some not so nice things to say about him too. So Juan, he can get in the bin. He sucks. Plus,
Do you
he's like
think,
besties with Michael Darby, and like, how are you going to be besties with Michael Darby? Come on, guy.
yeah, that's true. Do you think Robin comes back next season?
I feel like they should demote her just because of the shit she pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're not
Um,
going to share your life,
yeah.
then you shouldn't be on the show. Like, okay, fine. We'll make the decision for you. You don't want to talk about it, then we're not going to be on the show. She needs the paycheck, though.
And I think it's also like even a tougher situation when your cast members are, for example, Ashley and Candace, who I think are two of the best housewives at being like really transparent about what is going on
Mm-hmm.
in their real life in that moment. We saw it from Candace girls trip where she's like, yeah, Chris and I
Yeah.
left and we are not in the best place. And like she didn't have to bring that up at all. No one
No.
would have known. No one would have asked. Like the closest would be Giselle, but Giselle's not going to ask about Chris right now because that's not a good thing to be asking
No.
Candace if you're Giselle. Like she could have kept that in and it's not an issue, but she's bringing that up. And so when you have these two women on your cast who are so great at it, you can either like push them to the forefront and be like, keep
Mm-hmm.
doing what you're doing, appreciate it because you're keeping it off of me. But then in the same way, like, are they setting the standard and you need
Right.
to meet them? And you would hope that'd be more like that. But I guess like, I don't know what pride is getting in the way, like because you were cheated on before and you whatever, and like it's happened again, and
Mm-hmm.
if it's part of like your deal within your relationship, like all it takes is saying like
Just say that.
we have an open relationship.
Yeah. Just say that and say, I'm cool with it. And that's the situation. Like, whatever. But I think Potomac in general, as much as I really do love this cast and feel
Might
like
need to
Potomac
shake
has had
up.
the most, it's not even, yes, I hesitate to say that, but I feel like we have Robin who doesn't share what's going on in her life. We have Giselle who doesn't share at all what's going on in her life. We have Karen who, as much as I love her, doesn't really share that many details about her real life either. It's always like some fake business or some stupid live show or whatever. And she's hilarious, but they're not like real
Mm-hmm.
storylines about her. And anytime it gets like to a situation of like, oh, we saw you with this guy, or we saw this here, like she leaves. We have Mia who's like makes things up in front of the camera. Like she's just like making things up. So I just like, I don't know where we kind of go with this cast because we don't have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who are like being their genuine selves. And it's become really obvious over the last season. But I do
Yeah.
like them. Like I don't want them all to go. They have a
Yeah.
good, it's a good chemistry they have, which is the
We kind of
problem.
like have to take it for what it is if we want to keep this type of entertainment,
Yeah.
or do we want it to be more transparent?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, we've brought on people who are willing to spill it all, just, but we've lost the banter in the process,
Right.
maybe.
Right.
So I should have said, I haven't watched the reunion yet for Potomac. So I know
Oh,
that
okay.
like Robin does a sit down.
She did it on Watch What Happens Live. It was like, I
Oh, I
guess
thought it
there
was
was,
happening at the end of the.
no, it was on Watch What Happens Live and they showed extra footage from that conversation, but it ended up happening before the reunion.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense actually based off of so all I saw of the reunion was, you know how they'll do like the theme song and then they check in like Andy goes to different rooms and people like Giselle getting out of her car at 5:30 in the morning saying it was too early. I saw all the stuff before they actually sat down, and
Yeah.
then I had to turn it off because
Yeah.
lunch was over and I'm doing two jobs right now. So um a little side story is I know I've mentioned like my manager is a big Real Housewives fan. And so I had to talk to him about something else. So I scheduled 30 minutes to talk to him. And I was like, okay, I have to talk to you about something work related and then like something not really work adjacent, like at all. And his face was just like, oh shit. And I'm like, it's just Real Housewives. He's like, oh my God, thank you. I'm glad it's just Real Housewives. I was like, you told me to tell you when I finished watching Potomac. I finished watching like the season. I just have to watch Reunion. He's like, oh, good. Yes, we can talk about that. So I was like, I'm not quitting or anything. Like, don't worry about it. I need my paycheck. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this season, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to bring up that Robin Dixon has fallen from my graces,
Yeah.
and I think that Candace has taken her spot up there. If
Yeah.
I were to sit down and do like power ranking, that would be an exercise for sure.
Yeah. Yep. What would you what kind of a power ranking, like what would qualify your housewives? Because like I'm thinking for mine right now, my imaginary one that doesn't exist. Like Teresa's my girl. I don't think I would put her at the top of my power ranking
I
because I
think
know she's divisive.
I think it would be people housewives who I enjoy watching because I appreciate what they bring from like a real human point of view, like not a TV show point of view. Like Candy's always been my favorite because Candy gets mad when Candy needs to get mad and she doesn't hold back, but she's also, I think, transparent enough with us for someone of like her
Yeah.
monetary value and her long lasting fame and just her long tenure on the show that I've never once questioned like, are we getting the real Candy? Is there stuff she's there? Is there things that she should be telling us, or is she giving us
Yeah.
enough? Like, so Candy will probably always be my number one. So it'd probably be in that aspect. Like, are you entertaining enough, but also like realistic enough where it feels like, okay, I appreciate you.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not something very tangible.
That makes sense. I want to know, who does Candy have dirt on at Bravo that she can have so many spinoffs? I've never seen a housewife have as many spinoffs as Candy. She
Andy
has to have
loves
had
her.
at least like 6,
Yeah.
7, 6. I don't know. It's really ridiculous. Like, who's watching this show right now that's on? Is
I'm
anyone
not.
interested?
I haven't watched.
No, I mean, me neither. I'm sure it's good, but like, I just can't believe Candy has another show.
Get your money,
This
girl.
has to be at least her 6th spinoff.
Yeah, I haven't watched any Candy spinoffs.
Nor have I.
The
I don't need a
only I
spinoff.
don't know if you want to call like Girls Trip a spinoff. That's the closest I've come to watching any
Yeah.
Housewives spinoff.
I want, well, Vanderpump Rules, I would say, is the one that I've really,
Oh, is
I
that
feel like
considered a
that counts.
spinoff?
I think it counts. I would count
Okay,
it. That's the
then
only one really. Yeah, I think that's the only one.
all right.
Bethany Ever
My
After was
oh,
unhinged.
I didn't watch that.
Well, I hate Bethany, so it was like,
Hmm.
it's a hate watch.
She came up on something that I was
Ugh,
watching with
jump
Lavelle,
scare.
and he was like, "Do you know?" No, it wasn't her though. Like her name was. I think it was on
Oh.
like an episode of Family Guy. You know what I mean? Like something just completely
Yeah.
not related.
Making a
And it
reference.
was like, yeah, like oh, that's like Bethany Frankel of Real Housewives of New York. And he was like, "Do you know who that is?" Of course, you know who that is. I was like, first of all, I knew of Bethany Frankel before I started watching Real Housewives because she was a shark on Shark Tank. And he's like, of course.
She's embarrassing.
I would talk about Shark Tank every week. I love that show. My parents like used to record all the episodes so that when I would come home,
Yeah.
like we would just sit there and watch 5 hours of Shark Tank together.
Matt, for those who are not listening, is my boyfriend, partner, whatever you want to call him. He gets into these holes on YouTube where he'll just watch like Shark Tank clips for like hours at a time. But I like a good Shark Tank. I don't watch it often, but when I
Mm-hmm.
do, it's a good binge.
It's on what like MSNBC a lot, I think, or
Something
like
like
one
that, or
of those. And
CNBC or
so
something.
yeah. And if Southwest, the Bravo show isn't one that I want to watch, I will easily have Shark
Oh,
Tank there because it's
that's
almost
a good
always
plane
on.
show.
It's a great plane show.
That's a good plane show.
Yeah. So, all right, my last two topics
Okay.
are Bravo Peacock, not Housewives. So,
Okay.
if anybody wants to abandon us now because we have gone through all
It's
the
like a
Housewives stuff,
sandwich.
yeah. We started off with non-Housewives stuff. We are finishing
Housewives
with
was the meat.
non-Housewives stuff.
Yeah.
But um I didn't get to be on the Traders reunion because
Yeah.
I was drowning in I don't want to say real life because doing a doctorate
real
program
life.
does not seem like real life. It is
But
a
it's real life.
self-imposed punishment. Yeah, it's things that like they're obligations that unfortunately have to supersede my podcasting obligations. And that's where I've been the last 10 weeks on my suspension. So
Oh, my suspension.
I didn't listen to your reunion podcast
That's
coverage
fine.
of it either. So I openly admit it. But what did you think of the everybody? I was gonna say everybody besides Kate, because to me it felt like
Yeah.
Kate was the only one that appreciated what Suri did and was like, "You deserve."
And Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel did too. I will agree with that. That's like the one thing they've ever agreed on is that like Suri did what she had to. But what did you think of everyone else's disposition towards Suri in that Traders reunion? And if you haven't seen, sorry, I just spoiled me and spoilers. But if you're at this point and you don't know
Listen,
that,
I feel like it's past the threshold.
I thought Australia was past the threshold, and I
But
got
that's
fucking,
different. That's like you had to use a VPN to watch it at the time. It wasn't on Peacock yet. It was a little different. But this is like mainstream. Cerise's been on Watch What Happens Live. Like it's a little different. But
Okay.
yeah, I was shocked and appalled by everybody's attitude. And I'm embarrassed for every single one of them. I'm embarrassed for all of them. I feel like I just don't understand how you could sign up for a show called The Traders and then get mad when the person who was the traitor did their job to win the game. Like, I'm sorry you didn't read your contract. Like, I don't know what you thought was happening here. But like the fact that Andy Cohen even said to Suri, did you ever think about splitting the money with these people?
Right.
Like, bro, are you fucking kidding? That would have been like, why would she ever do that? Why would she ever do that? And that's why I get annoyed when Andy Cohen hosts reunions for shows that he's like not a fan of, because he's very much like this at the Below Deck reunions. And it's like he phones it in and it's just like, my guy, are you fucking kidding? Like, why would she ever? She played the game masterfully. Masterfully. These people were literal fools. Why do they deserve a penny of her hard-earned money? Why do they deserve a penny? They do not. So don't even like pretend like she should have given. It's just like, Oh, it's frustrating. I'm getting heated thinking about it all over again. And then for Quentin to really be out here on the internet saying, I know I signed up for a show called The Traitors, but I told producers if they made me a traitor, I would go home. It's like, okay, then let someone else get cast on the show who actually wants to play the game, you little asshole. Get the fuck off the show. Get off the show.
I loved that Alex Brizard.
Yeah, shout out to him for making a complete fool of Quentin on the internet. Or
Yeah,
allowing giving Quentin the space to make a fool of himself.
yeah, that's true. I
Even
think
more than he already has, because he's done a great job of that already.
also true. I really liked that as someone who has been on a reality TV show. He didn't hold back on that because I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes the like that circle, no pun intended, of people
Well, they just want
will
to
like
like,
try to like protect themselves
yeah,
or protect each other, and like you don't know when you're gonna run into this person at an event, blah
yeah,
blah. And like thank you, Alex, for amplifying that point because
yeah,
I had seen those tweets before I had seen the reunion, and I knew Quinn. I would have been surprised if Quinn came out and was like, yeah, my bad. The fact that like
yeah.
Quinn Andy doubled down on it was not that surprising
But
in a
like
way.
Ari,
Yeah. I think in a way, like I think Ari should be mad at like how it happened. But if you also are not in that moment going to do anything to defend yourself, because like Sari making that move of Ari, like he has this money, he doesn't need it or whatever, like to be the reason to be like, oh yeah, he has to be a traitor, as opposed to maybe going in a way of like, hey, can we think about this for a second? There's probably at
right?
least three traitors and not just two, and I'm faithful, Andy, right? Quinn, I'm faithful, right? Like, so it's got to be Ari. Like, if for him to just kind of like, oh, I quit,
Right.
and then on the reunion to like try and get all big and bad and like also like virtue like use virtues as like
Right.
so where were you then? You could have very easily signaled to, do I have to say like potential UK spoiler
Yeah,
because
we could say
that's been
potential UK
available.
spoiler.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the UK here. So I also have a side rant on that.
Okay.
The UK here of like when the appointed traitor got voted out by their fellow traitor,
Mm-hmm.
he left a whole ton of clues for
A
people to
parting
be like,
gift.
yeah, to be like, oh, maybe we should reconsider what we're thinking. And Ari just like played
He's like,
dead.
all right, I'm out. Ari says that he said, I didn't say congratulations. I said good luck. And they should.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
I don't think truly. I mean, as clueless and Quentin as Andy were, I don't think I would have picked up. And not to say that I wouldn't have been clueless because I probably would have been too. But like, I would not have picked up on that in the moment for sure. Like, it was
No.
so subtle that I wouldn't have picked up on it.
Right. Right. And that's like the last thing I blame Andy and Quentin for not seeing.
Right. I don't. Yeah. I don't blame that. I don't give them a pass for a lot, but I'll give them a pass for that.
Yeah, like on the list of dumb shit, that's near the bottom. I will
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I absolutely hated how it felt like Suri had to defend herself for playing the game that all of them signed up to play.
Yeah, when she should have been celebrated for how well she played. It felt like she had to do a lot of apologizing, which was really unfortunate. And she got emotional. Like, I feel bad. I felt bad for her.
Absolutely.
Also, Cody came in hot.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. You played Big Brother twice and you backstabbed your actual real life friend, Nicole Franzel, who I'm not a fan of, but you did backstab her at the end of the game. Like, and that's worse. You were there for 100 days.
The something else, and I wish, because to me it didn't feel like this happened, but the gap in the Traders US being filmed and then shown to United States audience, that the players for the Traders could have also watched the UK and Australia seasons, and especially
Oh,
for
they
like,
wouldn't have.
no, however, like for a Cody, for example, Traders got voted out. Again, spoilers, because here's my side rant. I thought about this a lot in the fact that how hard it was to provide analysis on something where I'm supposed to like neglect the 2 seasons I had seen earlier. I was
Yeah.
like, imagine asking Rob Sesternino to be like, pretend I haven't seen your season yet. Don't think about this from your perspective. But anyway, so I'm talking free. You've seen Australia at this point,
Yes.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you tweeted and you were like, was it
Yeah.
possibly the best of the three?
Yeah.
Should add that to this list. So I'm talking freely about the all the traders that speak English right now. And if you don't want to hear it,
Mm.
leave. I'm sorry that you're leaving, but you should have watched
Kari's
it
been
by
waiting
now.
for this for months to be
Oh
able to
my
openly talk
god,
about
so
Australia.
bad. So bad. I fucking love Alex so much. She is
Yeah,
my
Alex is great.
favorite winner from a show that I've watched because I feel like Taylor, if I had watched Big Brother and not just like followed along on the
Yeah.
internet, which spoiler alert, Taylor Mack won Big Brother in case you guys didn't know. So sorry, I was
Taylor
being a
Hale.
dick there. Oh shit, not Taylor Mack. Who's Taylor Mack?
I think that's her.
Oh, that's her thing
Name on. I think her name is
on
like her middle name is
Instagram.
Mackenzie or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Taylor Hale won. So like if you guys didn't see that one. But besides her, I didn't watch that show. Like Alex is my favorite winner in such a long time from a reality TV show. So anyway, fuck, what point was I making in this? Oh, if Cody or any of them had seen any other season, like traders get voted out. It's just what happens. Like to expect all three
By
traders to
other
make it to the
traders.
end. And exactly, by other traders. Like
It's
it
happened
happens,
in every
Cody.
season.
Every single
Yeah.
season, self perseverance. And so for him to come in and be like all douchey about it, that enraged me. I was so mad. Naturally, I wanted Kate to be a traitor from the get go. As soon as I heard she was going to be on the show, and I like began watching Below Deck, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love Kate Chastain. More than anything, I wish that she was in Cerie's spot because
Yeah.
she would have torn those people apart. But Cerie was still like so nice about everything and took the high road. And I just wish that it was like in that moment they were able to be swapped because Kate would have lit that place on fire.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I feel like she already did kind of. I mean, she really lit up Ari, which was great. And I hadn't realized that Ari was still like talking shit about her in interviews, calling her a cancer. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He sucks.
True. He had like, there was times where I'm like, oh, okay, Ari. And now afterwards, a lot of that cast. Please don't let them reappear on my screen.
Yeah.
Do you want season 2 to be 20 new people, 10 and 10, or 20
No, I want it to be all
TV
new people, but I know it's going to be reality TV people.
Yeah.
But I want it all to be new, to be all new people.
I think they're still casting. Maybe I should. I thought about it when I like after I watched Reunion to like send in a casting video, just be like,
Do it.
If you want someone who will play the opposite of Andy and Quentin, I'm your girl. Like that's it.
Do it. You should do it.
Valencia brings up a great point, which I thought about, and
It was a good point.
and I was, in all honesty, didn't want to bring it up for the mere fact of like I could go on for 30 minutes about this, and we've already been on here for 2 hours. So Valencia said, I wonder if it's just her nature or not wanting to come off as the angry black woman or both.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
Right.
I think it would be, in a way, out of Cerie's nature. And so
she is just
I
like
wasn't exactly
very chill person from like watching her on Survivor. Like I've never seen her lose her cool ever. Like she's just very chill, but that doesn't take away from the fact of that stereotype existing in a very real way and in a very unfortunate way. And I wouldn't be, I'm not saying that that's not present in her mind at all times, because I'm sure it also is.
I 100% agree. And that's why, like, I was in that moment just like wishing that it was Kate there, because Kate wouldn't have to worry about that, for not only the privilege of being a white person, but also just Kate, on as we've seen her on her shows, hasn't cared about that ever. You know what I mean? So it's like that's it. That's Kate's nature to have gone and done that. I would have never. I wasn't sitting there being like, Suri, why are you not doing this? Because it just doesn't seem like something Suri would do. And
Yeah.
for those reasons that Valencia said, like, I think it's partially her nature and partially she's been around the block a few times. She knows the stereotypes and stigmas that come with being a
Yeah.
Black woman. And I mean, even the way that like she talked to who is the single mom on the show? The Black woman who is a single mom. You know who I'm talking about? I don't.
Yes. What
But
is her
the
name?
I can't remember it. But even like the communication we saw the two of them having, and like she knows, she gets
And
it.
we've seen her do that on Survivor too with Michaela.
Yep. So I 100% agree with you, Valencia. I don't think I have anything else to say about the Traders Union, but I had to just like I I never need to see Andy or Quentin in any sort of competitive reality TV thing at all.
Well, what I learned about Suri from watching her and Watch What Happens Live is that she's a huge Bravo fan. She watches everything. She watches Summer House. She watches everything. So Suri, if you're out there and you ever want to come talk housewives with us, she's up. She is up on everything.
All right, good to know. Maybe we should.
She was great on Watch
Katie,
What Happens Live. She was great.
You're gonna have to go to the next like New York event that she's at and lay some groundwork.
No, but I like don't talk to people at those events because I'm like, what am I gonna say? Hi.
You're gonna
like,
say,
what? I mean,
hey,
what do you
Suri,
say?
I heard you're a big Bravo fan, and I happen to host a podcast about Bravo TV shows. So if you wanna,
She'd be like,
come
good
on.
for you. Yeah, maybe.
No, she's
We'll get
nice.
Isaiah to reach out. He's good at that.
Yeah, Isaiah gets people to say yes to him to like,
Because
and
he
I
has no qualms about asking, and that's really what's like you said. What's the worst? Joe Joyce is not going to respond to me. What's the worst? They're going to say no. He's great at reaching out to people. I get way too in my head.
I reach out. No one says yes to me. That's the issue. Alex Brizard is the only person.
Well, Frank said yes, but
And
he
then-
didn't answer after that, right?
Yeah, well, I'll chase him down. And then like
Yeah.
Melissa had to reach out to us because we wouldn't ask her.
Because we were like, yeah, being weird. Yeah.
So yeah, my shooting percentage is low in this. That's for sure. The last topic I have is, as I've told you via text, is that I've been watching a ton of Below Deck. So the only
Great
TV
choice.
I've really watched over the last 10-ish weeks that is reality TV related is Below Deck, and that's because my partner hates reality TV. However, he stomachs, I say that, stomachs. I don't know if he enjoys, but he stomachs Below Deck.
Okay.
And I have come to truly enjoy Below Deck. So
I love it.
I know you do. And that's why I just finished watching this season, the current season. So I've seen all of like the original OG Below Decks at this point.
Okay. All of them.
Yeah, like the Captain Lee series.
Okay.
I have watched I'm like halfway through this current season of like the Below Deck Adventure with like Captain
Oh, I haven't
Kari.
watched any Below Deck Adventure.
Yeah, not my favorite. And I am on season 2 of the sailing one.
Okay. I haven't really watched Sailing either.
Okay.
I'm OG and Mediterranean mostly.
Is Mediterranean Sandy? Mm-hmm. Where are you on Captain Sandy? I have
fucking
little.
hate Captain Sandy.
Okay, because
She's probably one of the people I hate the most on reality television.
Wow, why?
She gives me
Tell
intense rage. Where do I begin? I think she is a micromanager. I think she favors obviously anybody on the deck, especially women on the deck, over anybody on interior. She just has no respect for anybody who does anything on the interior side of the boat, and it's clear. I think she is really not personable. Like, you just watch her sit and talk to guests and it's like awkward. I think that she causes more problems than she solves, and she gets into business that's not hers, and she clearly plays favorites, and she is an asshole. She's an asshole.
All right.
I can't stand her.
So
I can scream at my television when I watch Captain Sandy. Like, not a lot of people not a lot of people bring that out of me, but I scream at my TV when I watch Captain Sandy.
What did you think of when she, spoiler alert for if you're not up to deck. I'm not giving any fucking spoiler alerts on Below Deck, where we're talking anything and everything Below Deck here.
Yeah.
Um, when she popped up this season.
Uh, well, I was very disappointed because I love Captain Lee. I
Mhm.
love Captain Lee, and it's his last season. And then we
I was
didn't
gonna
even
say,
get
how
like
do
a
you?
full season. I'm honestly destroyed. I'm destroyed emotionally. I don't think I'm ready for this like goodbye to Captain Lee that's happening on Monday. I
Mhm.
just like I'm gonna miss him. He's great. And it's sad to me because that makes me feel like this is the end of like OG Below Deck because Kate's gone and like
Mhm.
Eddie's in and out, but he's like Ben's not there anymore, and like now
Mhm.
Lee is leaving, and it's just very sad because he's like the star of the show.
Rachel too is leaving. Did you see all her
I'm
drama?
not that in and on
You're not.
Rachel. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's all right, but yeah, I guess there's like behind the scenes drama, and she like will never be back on Bravo again.
Yeah. She, I guess, like blew up post filming, but pre
Yeah,
like season airing. So
yeah.
she's not coming back. Yeah, I like Captain Lee. It feels like this is going to be the most pleasant firing they've ever had because he's saying like if they were to ask me back, I would come back. And Bravo's
Yeah, like
like,
I don't understand why
"No."
he's not coming back.
Maybe it's like liability insurance
Maybe
reasons. If it's he might be able like when you have
because
the
he's
actor
elderly.
past his prime and well,
I mean, he's in his 70s. It's not like, he's elderly.
yeah, that like he had major surgery and struggled coming back from it and
And even last
decided,
season, he like fell in the shower or something. He had to go to the hospital. It's just like he's not himself.
yeah. So I, in my very recent appreciation for Captain Lee, since I only started watching in the last couple of months, I am sad to hear that he's not coming back, but I also understand it in a way.
Yeah.
I
It
do
just
like
hurts me because I've been with him for years,
years, yeah.
years of my life. I've devoted to Captain Lee. He's the only
Hmm.
cameo I've ever bought. And it was a great cameo. It was a great cameo.
What did he say? I didn't
I
know
bought it
that
for
this
Matt
happened.
for his birthday or Christmas or something like that. And I
Hmm.
was like, my boyfriend Matt loves your Captain Lee isms. Like, what are your tips on management style? Which, like, he's not a manager, but he gave great advice. He said a lot of like Captain Lee stuff,
Yeah,
and he was great.
that's fantastic.
It was great. It was great.
The person who's taking over for him, it's the captain from Below Deck Adventure.
This
And
is the
so,
bald guy
yeah,
or the
Captain
hot guy?
Kari.
Okay.
I mean, are those two things separate?
Yeah,
I
they're
don't.
separate. They're
Oh,
separate. There's a guy, I think it's Down Under, is the hot guy.
got it.
Yeah.
I like Captain Carey. He seems to be somewhat equivalent to the captain from the sailing one,
Yeah, why don't
where
we get Captain Glenn? He seems like a nice guy. He seems to be like the second favorite captain of everybody.
I'm not like familiar enough with everything to know how others feel. Like I'm in the Below Deck subreddit, but there's still just like
Yeah.
I'm also very good at forgetting people. Like I won't
Yeah,
ever
I don't
forget.
really know Glenn. I just know people really like Glenn. So I maybe
Yeah.
because he's a sailboat captain and not like a luxury yacht captain, I assume that's different.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to give up sailing. Sailing is like they go sailing and they're
Yeah.
like tilted and shit and
Yeah, no thanks.
things are flying and yeah. So, I like or Captain Carey. It's not just because we share a name. He does spell it differently,
Mm-hmm.
but his cast this season, I'm not like. I was
I
watching
heard
that.
Adventure is boring.
Yeah, it's the bosun and the chief stew are both not likable in my opinion,
Mm.
and they also like butt heads. So it's just like I'm literally rooting for no one in this conflict. Where at least on some of these other seasons where there's conflict, I'm usually like, okay, I think you are right,
Yeah.
and I'm team you. Like both of these people, just please
Yeah.
keep it moving. So, um, I'll have to watch the Captain Lee thing. But yeah, I just wanted to say because I know that you're
Mm-hmm.
a Below Deck fan that I am
I
working my way
am.
through it.
What are your thoughts on
And
Captain Sandy from your limited view so far? I think you need to see her full. Let me stop. You need to see her full breadth of work to have a fully informed opinion on Captain Sandy because there's a lot. There's a lot of evidence as to why she sucks complete ass. So you should watch all of Mediterranean, then we'll talk about it.
yeah, I was gonna say that there's someone that I'm friends with who he's like very good at like posting what he's watching, and
Yeah.
so he was watching the season of Below Deck as well, and he was like the same as you. I hate Captain Sandy, and I was just
She's a
like,
monster.
oh, I was like, she seems like kind of fine right now, and like,
I think
but
she's a fucking
obviously,
monster.
I don't know.
Personally. People do. There are people who like her. I just think she makes
Yeah.
everything worse and makes nothing better.
Yeah, I didn't like the way with this season how like the reasoning she used to fire whatever girl who like was talking shit about her in
Alyssa?
yeah, like in an adjacent room where she was
Yeah.
able to hear it. Where like Captain Lee has said like I purposefully like let them have
Because
their
she's an
time
ego.
alone.
She has an ego.
Yeah.
She has a fucking problem.
Yeah. And like
I mean,
Captain Lee's like, I
Alyssa,
know they're gonna talk shit about me. Not saying that like Alyssa should have stayed there, but like you could have
she dug her own grave.
justified, yeah, you could have justified firing her and like using that as like one of the main reasons. And was it Alyssa was like, okay, Sandy, I mean Captain Sandy, was
Yeah.
that yeah.
Yeah, that was the final nail in the coffin for her. And I wasn't a huge Alyssa fan. I was also not a Camille fan. So like this cast was a little rough for me this season.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like this guy Ben, is that his name? Ben? He's got to cut his hair. Like that's the worst haircut I've ever seen in my life.
No, there's someone. Oh wait, is it Ben? Now
Ben
that's
is the
I'm
one who had
mixing
sex with
everyone
Camille
up.
above Tony. That
Oh
all
no,
Tony
no,
does
I
is
know
work
who
out in the
he
morning.
is.
Okay.
I literally just watched the last episode right before we started podcasting. Um, there's on Sailing who has a
Oh.
worse haircut than this Ben. That and I just can't remember
Oh,
who it is. It's
Ben's
either
hair is
season 1 or season 2.
so bad. It's
Yeah.
so bad.
Do you like Fraser?
Yes, I do.
Me too. Have you seen like cast spoilers for next season?
I recently saw that it seems like he might be back
Yeah,
next
him and
season.
Ben, it seems like, are the two coming back.
Why do we need Ben? Why do we need Ben? Ben gives me nothing. Ugh,
Ben
whatever. It's
was in
better
a
than the
love
bosun.
triangle. Oh, Gary? Yeah,
Undeservedly. Is that his name?
I think so. I could just be making things up, but
I
I'm pretty
truly
sure
have
it's
no idea
Gary.
what this. I don't think it is, but I have no idea what his name could be, if not Gary. Katie
Maybe
and Ross.
Ross. Oh, maybe Gary's the
Ross.
bosun on Sailing. That's the hard part. I'm
Ross.
watching like 3 different seasons of Below Deck across like 3 different continents at once. And I'm
Yeah.
mixing them all up. Yeah, I do really it's a very easy show to watch. It's another great plane show. And that's
Yeah,
how
it's a
I'd
great plane
seen
show.
some episodes before is like for example, my friend Tosh was down here this weekend and Saturday morning I like turned the TV on. I'm like, I'm putting Below Deck on. And so she literally 5 minutes into an episode, she's like, okay, I'm hooked. It's just like a
Oh,
very
yeah. It's
easy
easy.
show
It's
to
easy.
watch and be entertained by. So
And it's a very good way to dip your toe into Bravo if you're not a Bravo fan. Or you're like, you don't know where to start because there's so much on Bravo. This is a good, easy transition into Bravo, into the world of Bravo. Not that it's like super connected to anything else, but it is easy because it's like there's a good formula to it. It's entertaining. Every season there's a different cast, so you can really just jump in whenever you want. And it's just like, it's good.
yeah, and I also think there's a relatability aspect to it. If because there's other jobs that have similarities. I think of working at a summer camp where this is just like a very much
They
smaller
had
version of it.
a show where it was like an adult summer camp, which I don't
I went to
remember
one
the
of
name
those
of
for a
it.
weekend.
Was it fun?
I had a fucking blast.
It seems like it would be fun. They had a show about people that work there, and then they had a show called Après Ski, which was it was like the same thing, but it was people who worked at a ski resort. And that show was good, and it only had 1 season. I don't know what ended up happening to it. But it was good.
Yeah, I think that like I had this conversation with Lavelle quite a few times because he's like, they can just cast anybody. I'm like, really though, they can't because there's still this like work component of it. If they
Yeah.
were to throw me onto this boat and say, work on the deck, like I wouldn't be able
Yeah, I would
to.
have no
I
idea what I
don't
would do.
and I just don't want to clean shit. Like
Hell
or
no.
service or I don't know how to make that many drinks
I don't
to
even
be
know how to
able to
make
do
a drink. I can
God.
pour wine.
Say I can open a beer.
Sure.
That's
I could do that.
I struggle to open cork wine, so I can't even offer that. Um, so I like there's a level of you also have to hire people who can like make the boat function and
Yeah.
if if you haven't worked at a job where you also sleep at the place you're working and like the only people you
Yeah.
see, that's summer camp. Like that is
Yeah.
straight up summer camp. And so like when people are like, "Oh my god, like how are they taking this relationship so seriously?" It's like you don't understand. I used to joke at camp that there was like 3 days within every one day. So like every meal
Mm-hmm.
started a new day. So like between breakfast and lunch, a whole ass day has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Between lunch and dinner, a whole day has happened. Between dinner and breakfast the next day, a whole day has happened. Like cuz
Yeah.
so much shit happens and it's in like you have no connection. Given it's gotten a little bit better like my first 8 years working at camp, I did not have cell phone service.
Oh my God.
I it was fantastic because it's just like, all right, if you need me, like send me an email, like send me a
Yeah.
letter. um, otherwise, I can't really text you. It got better in the like my last couple of years, and it's just like the only people that really matter are the ones that are there with you, and so every action is just magnified, and you're like seeking out the drama because it's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and so I appreciate the parallels of things that I've experienced, but if you've worked a job like that, I think it's easy to connect with this show as well.
Yeah.
Where like I'm never going to connect to being a real housewife,
No, nor will I.
which is also like a draw of it because it's like look at the
Right.
life they live and
Right.
so I get it.
Yeah. Totally.
That's all I had to talk about.
It
At
was a good
least what I
list.
remembered to write before we started podcasting.
It was a good list. I think you covered all of my topics. I don't think I have anything else.
I haven't caught up on the challenge.
Nor have I. I think I'm taking a break.
I think I'm going to watch the world one
I'll
just
like maybe binge it.
I know who won. So I am
Me too.
interested
Oh,
in seeing
maybe I don't for the first time.
wow. I'm interested in seeing how the winner or winners
Mm.
got to that place. And but it just hasn't been a priority because one, podcasting has not been able to happen. And then also like I would want to finish the last season, but I've read so much about it that
Yeah.
it just seemed like Tori and Devin like smoked everybody, but also like Anissa was Anissa. She got hurt and wasn't able to do things. And I don't need to see Olivia like lose an eye. And
Yeah.
oh, what about Nelson?
Oh my God, my guy Nelson. Ugh, poor Nelson. Nelson was in a near death car accident and got pulled from a burning car from a football by a football player.
So I there was like some drama about that.
I
The
saw
football player
that.
was like recording it at first, but then it seems like the football player proceeded to help Nelson get pulled out of the car, but it's not I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't know. Well, I was talking to Matt about this, and he was like, "Oh, I saw on Reddit that some football player saved someone from a burning car," and I was like, "Yeah, that was Nelson. That was Nelly T. Double O Nelly T." And he's like, "What?" And I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I saw Amanda going off of that. I wasn't following. I don't need to be like in drama about Nelson's near death accident, but yeah, I hope Nelson's okay. I mean, last season he had a great season. It felt like he was really coming into his own, and now he's just his GoFundMe's up. Just feel
I don't
bad for
know
the
if
guy.
this is like a hot take, but I am somewhat wary about the fact that we really don't know many details of how
Mm.
Nelson ended up in this accident.
I haven't
You know,
actually read much about it other than his Instagram post, honestly, if I'm being
well,
completely
that's thing
honest.
is there's not a lot of information outside of
Yeah.
that, and so I'm not like jumping to any conclusions. But when you are in a single car accident, when your car
Yeah.
is flipped upside down over a barrier and is on fire, I just want to know, like, how did we end up in this situation? You know, like record screech,
Yeah.
like, how'd I end up here type of thing. It's
Yeah.
because then, like, you're also asking for money for your recovery. And again,
Did
like,
he
I
fall
don't know
asleep?
what
We don't know if
happened
he fell asleep or if he was like on something
or
drunk.
driving hundreds of miles an hour. Like, we don't
Right.
know. And so it's just like, I would love to know some details because not that like someone who has survived this and even if they did cause it themselves like doesn't deserve
Yeah.
financial help because our like in our healthcare should just cover that, but it's also just like I would love
I
to know what
know.
happened. Just want to know how did we get here?
Yeah, I guess that's true. It was a single car, huh? See, I didn't like read a ton about it, so I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. So I just would like to have some questions answered.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also like great job by Amanda deflecting from that because when it came out, she like went for the football player and it didn't really leave space
Seems
for
weird.
people to be like, how did we get here?
Yeah. Seems like a weird choice to come for the football player, but like, whatever.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Amanda to be smart enough to know that. And like, of course, it's Amanda as well. Like, if anybody's going to stir up shit, Amanda doing it is just like another day, another dollar type of thing.
True,
Like,
true,
the only
true.
person it would be less surprising from is maybe like Jemmy, you know, that for
Yeah.
her to come out swinging that way
As a deflection.
deflects
Yeah.
from questions that people might want to know. Because even in the Reddit thread I read about it, like the people who are like, how did we get here? There, no one gave an answer. Like it doesn't seem
So
like there's,
interesting.
yeah, a lot about that. So
Huh.
I hope he recovers. I think he's not going to be on the challenge for a while.
Yeah, it
But
seems like he's in pretty bad shape, unfortunately.
yeah,
And you know how I feel about Nelson. So I'm very upset. And that makes me feel like I'm gonna be out of the challenge for a little while.
we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping that season 40 of the challenge, I'm already skipping season 39. I'm hoping season
Yeah.
40 of the challenge, we get something like big and monumental.
I would hope so.
Also, like kind of holding out the fact that I don't know if you follow like Challenge Mania stuff at all, but
Eh.
um, they've been getting some pretty big names to show up for things. Like
Oh, that's
CT's
good.
been doing a decent
Oh
amount.
yeah, I did see that.
I don't know if he's getting paid and if it has to do with like how much money his ex-wife is asking for and he's taking paid opportunities for things.
Yeah.
But they have Landon showing up for something in the near future.
Oh.
Yeah, out in Denver. So you're seeing
Well,
some,
that's exciting.
so I'm wondering like, are we gearing up for like a big 40th? Like, are we going to get like a true all stars, like the great of the greats who can come do it? That would
That'd be
be
great.
interesting. Not that like Challenge Mania has any effect on that. It could just be coincidence, but like I could see CT going back because like his wife wants a lot of
Yeah,
fucking
and he's been
alimony.
back like very recently.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but right now I think it's like a week or two until the Challenge USA people leave, and
Oh yeah.
I'm I'm hearing, I'm not going to say any names, and if this is a spoiler for you, here is your moment to leave. I'm hearing that there's like MTV people that are like
I've
the
heard that
challenge
too, and
people,
that it's like, what's the point of having four different shows if they're all gonna be the same fucking show?
right?
I'm
Especially
over
because
it.
like you make more money on the MTV version than you
You're
do
like, what are we
on
doing?
the
What are we
CBS
doing?
one. But there's a lot of last season people who are like,
Not
don't
doing
get it
it.
wrong, I am not on that fucking
Yeah, I
plane,
know.
whatever
I know.
country they're fucking
I
going
know.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Like,
almost all of them.
yeah. So there's that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's I haven't watched any challenge, but kept up with some online challenge
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah, I'll binge it eventually.
That's it. That's all I've got. Two and a
Good.
half hours to catch up over 10 weeks.
Yeah.
We did it.
Listen,
If
we
you listen to
condensed
all
it.
this, yeah. A lot of things we skipped over that just didn't need to hear about, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
It is okay.
All right. Well, Katie, What are you doing
Yes.
online these days?
Well, I'm on Twitter at RealSlimKatie. I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSlimKatie with an underscore. Thank you for flashing these. I'm also podcasting about Big Brother with Isaiah and Josie and Lance, as we do every season on Bounce Checks. We've had a really great season so far, even though the Big Brother season has not been that great so far. We've been having a lot of fun on the podcast. It's waking up. It's waking up. We had
Is
some really
it, sorry, don't mean to
no, go ahead.
interrupt. How is it not having live feeds? I know that that
It's
was
terrible.
some drama.
It's absolutely terrible.
Do we think that shit's being hidden?
Yeah. I don't know what, but yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no way that we can get the full story on the episodes, and there's no way these digital dailies are like 1 to 2 hours a day of very edited footage and like curated footage. Like we're not seeing a lot in those dailies, and it just doesn't keep. It's not. I'm not even really paying attention to the digital dailies, unfortunately. Like I'll follow along on Twitter, but I haven't watched many because it's a lot of nonsense that I would turn the feeds off for. So it's like, why am I gonna just sit here and watch it in a condensed 1.5 hours? But the episodes have been okay. This past week's episodes have been okay. I think also their airing schedule has really done them a disservice because it's on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whereas at Big Brother US is Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, so it keeps you kind of engaged throughout the week. But this is condensed to like 3 days back to back to back, and then like nothing for 4 days. So it's like it doesn't keep it top of mind. But we're still talking about it. We're still doing it. We've had some good exit interviews. We had Summer from last season, Big Brother Canada 10, probably one of the best Big Brother seasons I've ever watched on Friday, and she was a delight to talk to. So check that out. It was a really fun podcast. And then Isaiah, Naomi, and I are talking all things Star Wars on the high ground as usual. Now that the Mandalorian season 3 is back, so we're going to be on every other week. We're doing 2 episodes. We're covering 2 episodes at a time. So we will be back this week to cover episodes 4 and 5, I guess. Yeah, I think 4 and 5. That's it. What about you, Kari? What are you up to?
Nothing. Online, nothing.
Not
I
a thing.
have not, I mean, I have not been tweeting much. I have not been doing much. You can follow me, KGD26. If anything, I've like posted a few TikToks lately, but it's mostly about choosing not to have children and, just making comments there. So
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't know, get back into the swing of things hopefully soon. I have like 2 more weeks in this like hell schedule. And then, I mean, another class starts, but it should be far more manageable. I've been podcasting the whole time while taking a class. So it's just this last one was a doozy, but get back into it. I'll text Katie and be like, are you watching this? Okay. Are we going to podcast about this? But the first obligation will obviously be Real Housewives. So we'll come back with that
Always.
soon. And then from there, I don't know, maybe we'll do like a challenge recap episode with someone or something. I'm not sure. I don't have a podcasting schedule. This was the first one in a long time and we made it here. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we did it.
Life has just been very time consuming. What's nice is like one of the kids I tutor, I'm not tutoring for the next couple of weeks, and then like the person who's taking my old job should be starting soon, and we'll get there. We will get there. There's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yes, soon. It's getting brighter.
Yes. I don't even know how to end these podcasts anymore. Valencia is doing it for me in the chat. Is there something that I click? Whatever.
Yes, there's like the thing. Here, I can bring it up.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay. So we are Silent Podcast. We're anything but silent. I'm reading you the slide directly. Follow us on social media. So, sorry. We are on Twitch and YouTube, so search Silent Podcast and follow us. That way you can get notifications for, I don't know, like when we go live for the first time in 10 fucking weeks. Like, why didn't you want an email about that? I know I want an email about that. You can see me tweet about the fake suspension that I imposed on myself. Silent_podcast. So follow us on all the social media. We have coverage of a bunch of cool things. I know that like Josh Kettles recently did an interview with someone from is the show Outlast? Oh, two? Was it
people.
Joel and Javier? Were those the 2 people?
Yes.
Okay.
He might have more coming, it sounds like. Stay tuned for that. If you haven't watched Outlast, by the way, and you like unhinged television, you should check out Outlast. But just be prepared to leave the show being like, what the fuck was that? But it was a time.
We have what else? You were talking about Mandalorian. We have Survivor coverage happening, I'm assuming.
Yes, we
We've
do.
got
Run by Gia. We have Isaiah and Sabrina have done some really good Are You the One coverage, and they just
oh
did an
yeah.
interview with someone from Are You the One, which is cool. So check that out. I think they just posted it.
Yeah, I saw that. Like Ruth Jane. Am I making a name up?
I'm not sure. I don't watch Are You the One,
Sorry.
but also Love Is Blind is coming back soon, and I think our bestie Javier is going to be on the podcast with Isaiah this season, which is really exciting. We
Oh,
love
nice.
Javier.
Yeah, it just started. It came out this
Yeah.
week. Like some episodes dropped. I haven't watched
Yes.
it since season 1, but I have friends who do. So,
Yes.
um yeah, we have a bunch of different coverage. So check it out on there. You can also listen to us in podcast form, so Apple, Spotify, and maybe there's new places that have podcasts since I was last on
Yeah.
one, but you can probably find us on there too. So just search for us on podcasts where we're anything but silent. So until next time, thank you for listening to all 2 hours and 35 minutes of this.
Yes. Thank
Uh,
you.
we missed you. I especially missed you, Valencia. And that's it. That's all I got. So we will catch you next time when we have more Housewives stuff to talk about. New Jersey, Girls Trip. Is there another
No, that's
Housewives on
all
right
that's
now?
on right now.
Oh, good. That's
That's
phenomenal.
it.
Okay,
I mean, OC has to be coming back soon, but that's all that's on. Our
great. So we'll
Jersey
be
and Ultimate
back.
Girls Trip.
I can commit to watching 2 hours of television this upcoming
Yeah.
week and podcasting about it. Absolutely. So you'll
Amazing.
probably get us next weekend. I don't know. Kate and I
Amazing.
haven't scheduled it yet, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So we'll see you soon. But until then, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.